Chapter 108. Later in the afternoon, Qiao Xian spent some time on the flower field which was located at the entrance of the village. She had used her superpower to make the trees grow, and now, some already started to bloom. The 30 bee boxes were standing in 3 rows neatly, with numerous bees going in and out, buzzing around. Qiao Xian stopped in front of one gardenia tree that was taller than herself. She looked at the blossoms attached to the twigs, reached out for the trunk and poured in more superpower. Soon, one of the blossoms started to open itself, and gradually, while flowers covered the entire tree. The white, egg-sized flowers were blossoming in an enticing way, covering up the trees and giving off a wonderful scent. Qiao Xian picked several flowers and held them in her hands. Then she put in more superpower, trying to extract the oil from them. She rubbed the flowers, crushed the petals, and instilled her superpower gradually, extracting the water inside and then made it evaporate under the sunshine. It was a difficult process, because the superpower wasn't easily controlled. A small distraction might ruin the entire work. Soon, Qiao Xian honed her skill. The crushed petals soon turned brown, and Qiao Xian cast the petals all over the ground. She noticed the water drops at the tip of her finger, which was very small. The scent was very pure and strong. It was the smell of gardenias indeed. It must be the extracted oil from gardenias. Qiao Xian was overjoyed. It seemed that she was going to pay another visit to the town. Some tools needed to be made and jars had to be bought. She needed to have a large white porcelain bowl and pestle for pounding the medicine. The petals could not be pinched by hand. It was much easier to pound them in the bowl first, and then refine them later. She was going to buy some sealed bottles made of jadestone for the oil. She was not going to expand the 60 mu of flower field. It would be too obvious. She wasn't afraid of the villagers, but the madam at the mansion. She was going to do something bigger, when she grew stronger. But she was going to do something on the sly. She was going to buy good fields directly from the landowners in the town. She could hire some people to take care of the land, and did not have to do everything personally. She was not going to expand the flower field for the time being. She could grow all kinds of flowers that she wanted, but if she planted too many flowers, it would cause suspicion. With her superpower, she could make the flowers bloom numerous times on the same field. The superpower would grow stronger, the more she practiced it. As Qiao Xian was mulling over the plan, she saw that the flowers had already attracted many bees. Qiao Xian smiled. It seemed that they all loved it. She also sensed that her superpower would soon grow stronger, and more fragrant. Satisfied, Qiao Xian left the flower field, locked the door and went home. She had just walked into the yard, when she saw Xiao Xiaoqi, Xiao Taotao, Xiao Zhenyan and Xiao Qing feeding ducks and geese. Ms. Fong was watching and laughing, standing next to them. They dug some fish and shrimps from the bucket and cast them onto the ground. The ducks and geese were all jostling to get the food. They looked so cute and fresh, and the sight made Zhenyan and Xiao Qing really happy. Mom! Fifth sister-in-law. Here. Qiao Xian smiled after greeting them. Where did the ducks come from? Chapter 109. Fish and shrimp. Her mother-in-law used to think that raising ducks was a waste of food, and it was not worth the while. That was why Qiao Xian was very surprised to see 20 ducks appearing in the yard. Ms. Fong smiled. Your third brother went to town today, and I asked him to bring the ducks home. Then, she pressed down her voice and chuckled with pride. Now, we have food for ducks. When they grow bigger, you can just make them into dishes. We can all get a taste of it. Qiao Xian raised her eyebrows, but then nodded with a smile. That sounds good. I can make many dishes with duck. Mom, just wait to taste the dishes. Xiao Zhaoqi's eyes sparkled. Fifth sister-in-law, what about me buying 2 more large ducks from town in a couple of days, when the market is on? Miss Fong glared at him in amusement. You boy, since when did you pick up your third brother's bad habit? Everyone laughed. Xiaoqi chuckled in embarrassment, scooped a small shrimp from the bucket and cast it onto the ground. Qiao Xian was brought back to the scene. She said, "You went to fetch fish and shrimps from the river." She leaned forward and saw many shrimps, big and small, as well as several fish in the bucket. They all looked like delicacies to her. Seeing them chuckling as they fed them to geese and ducks, Qiao Xian could not help but let out a sigh of concern. Those were all river shrimps and fishes from fresh, unpolluted rivers. They could all turn into delicious dishes. She had paid too much attention to the mountains, ignoring the treasure in the river. There were many fish and shrimps in the river these days. It is such a pity that you are feeding them to the ducks and geese. They can be our food. Xiao Taotao's eyes widened. But fifth sister-in-law, they have a weird taste, we don't like it. Xiaoqi was motivated instead. Fifth sister-in-law, are you able to come up with dishes using shrimps and fish? I can get them home now. Xiao Taotao got the point too. Oh. Me too, me too. Fish and shrimps had a weird smell, and villagers did not want to put too much oil into making them, nor did they want to add much wine to drive away the taste. So they believed that those things could not be turned into delicious food. Gradually, people rarely visited the river for fish and shrimps, unless it was a famine. Hence, they just got the fish and shrimp for ducks and chickens. Qiao Xian nodded and smiled. Of course they can be made into food. There are various kinds of dishes that can be made. Do we have many of these in the river? Let's visit the river and we will make yummy food tonight. Hooray! Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao cheered. They dropped the ducks and geese, and went to fetch a bucket and net, heading towards the river. They had a net at home, which they had no idea when they made it and when they last used it. Qiao Xian smiled. We can go to the town to buy some fish poles. They should come handy in fishing. However, those things were ordinary tools which might not be available on sale. They could find a carpenter to make some hooks instead. Miss Fong did not know what she should say. You have so many plans. You are so naughty. Keep your fifth sister-in-law protected, and stay safe. Got it. Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao answered from a distance away. They came to the riverside, and saw seaweed growing all over the river with slow-flowing water. Chapter 110. Qiao Xian's interest. Xiaoqi took off his shoes, rolled up his trousers and tied them around his waist. He threw the net into the root of the seaweed, gave it a push and took a step backwards. Finally, the net was cast out. There were numerous, bouncing shrimps in the net as well as 2 finger-sized fish that showed their white bellies immediately. Xiaoqi threw away the leaves and small things out of the net proficiently, and gathered up the fish and shrimp, putting them into the bucket. Soon after, Qiao Xian tried to explore the river with her superpower. Her eyes widened after a moment, and she was excited and motivated. There were numerous shrimps, fish and crabs swimming in there. Qiao Xian could see all the fish and shrimps hidden in the seaweeds clearly. However, shrimps and fish were not like those plants in the mountains. They were water animals which were flexible and difficult to catch. Also, what Qiao Xian could see was invisible to Xiaoqi, so they had to make some effort and needed a bit of luck. Qiao Xian felt really sorry to see some large fish swimming away from the net. Let me try. Qiao Xian intended to go into the water. But Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao turned her down directly. Qiao Xian knew that they were worried about her safety, so she had no choice but to drop the idea. Therefore, she helped them, standing on the bank. They were very lucky to have so many wild, fresh fish and shrimps in this era, and with the guidance of Qiao Xian, they managed to catch some fish every now and then. There were already Christian carps the size of 4 fingers, a carp, 3 yellow peppers the size of 2 fingers and several small trash fish the size of 2 or 3 fingers in the bucket. Qiao Xian also made a few attempts, whenever it was within her abilities. However, she could not catch big fish each time from where she stood. So after a while, she only managed to catch 2 large fish. Suddenly, she saw an old turtle that was bigger than her palm, hidden in a crevice under the water. Qiao Xian was overjoyed, and hurriedly booed to remind Xiao Xiaoqi and pointed it to him. Xiao Xiaoqi nodded and tiptoed there. He bent his back and quickly got the turtle in his hands. What a large turtle! The turtle was fun. Children from the village would always catch one when they were playing or swimming in the river during summer. They often brought it home as a pet, but gradually, the pet would be gone. Qiao Xian asked him to put it into the bucket, smiling. It is really good for soup. Seeing the harvest in the bucket, Qiao Xian smiled. Time to go home. We have enough to eat today, and can come any time we want for more. There were innumerable fish and shrimps in the river. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao nodded. Xiao Xiaoqi went back to the bank and the 3 of them went home together. They worked on the shrimps and fish, and left the remaining in the vat for the time being. The shrimps were dried in the pot, and seasoned with some salt. In this way, they could be stored for 3 days without turning bad. Chives were added to fry with shrimps, and eggs were cracked to make pancakes. They would be either deep-fried or pan-fried. The internal organs of the small fish were removed, wrapped in flour batter, and fried in a pan. It was crispy and delicious. There were still pickles at home, which could be used for dinner at night. Christian carp, yellow spicy diced, and unknown fish were used to make a big pot of pickles and miscellaneous fish, with a little pepper added to make it sour and a spicy appetizer. Qiao Xian served the fried fish on the plate for Xiao Xiaoqi. The fish were small finger-sized, and the bones were already fried. They could be chewed and crushed easily, so even Xiao Zhenyan and Xiao Qing could eat them. Chapter 111 reached the dish of deep-fried fish was eaten up by the 4 of them quickly. Miss Fong tried it and smiled. Miss Qiao, you know everything. The fish tastes great. Then she added another sentence. Well, you used a lot of oil, right? Qiao Xian smiled. Yes, deep-fried things are delicious, and I could try some more dishes like these in the future. Okay. Miss Fong smiled. She had plenty of money now, and they could use as much oil as they wanted to. It was fine. Apart from the money Qiao Xian contributed towards the shared savings, Xiao Dalong, Miss Su, and Xiao Taotao had also offered some money to her. Miss Fong had almost lost track of the amount, and she felt really confident at the moment. Of course, she was not taking any money from her children for herself. She was actually saving it for their future use. Xiao Sanlang came home too, when Qiao Xian was making dinner. Xiao Sanlang had gone to the town to buy food. With money in his hands, he was really drooling, thinking about the dish. He only got time today, since he was helping Qiao Xian plant the day before. Xiao Sanlang was also very confident, with money in his hands. He went to the town-famous restaurant Yanhe, and bought braised chickens, fish, deep-fried meat and steamed ducks. Xiao Sanlang was very satisfied by the delicious dishes. He had been to the town before, and he was salivating over the smell that came out of the restaurant whenever he passed by. He had sworn in his heart that he was definitely going to save enough money to treat himself to the dishes of this restaurant. The belief was so firm that he could not get rid of it. Therefore, the moment he got money, he came to visit this place directly. It was indeed a great place. Each dish was delicious. No wonder they were sold at such a high price. But after one meal, he lost his motivation. He made a careful comparison, and found that fifth sister-in-law's cooking skills were not worse than the dishes served here, and she could even make better food, sometimes. Therefore, he was going to buy raw meat and take it home. He would ask his fifth sister-in-law to make the dishes instead. But he had not expected that fifth sister-in-law would be able to cook fish, since it was never easy to make it, and only restaurants would normally serve good fish dishes. Xiao Sanlang kept half duck and chicken untouched, and he asked the waiter to wrap it up with leaves and have it covered by a layer of yellow paper. Xiao Sanlang left the restaurant in satisfaction. He bought 2 more roast chickens, 5 or 6 kinds of snacks from the Longhua dim sum shop, and bought melon seeds, peanuts, preserved apricots, dried jujubes, preserved peaches, dried plums and other snacks at the Guji roasted goods shop. It was a big bag full of stuff, before he went to buy the ducks. Xiao Sanlang did not let his mother know about how much food he had bought. He was worried that his mother would blame him for wasting money. He delivered the ducks home and gave Xiao Junyan and his sister 2 bags of snacks. He put down the roast chicken in the kitchen as well as a slice of pork belly, before dashing off. He was going to take the snacks he had bought to Yang Xiaoni. He was going to share it with his future wife. Yang Xiaoni was still out doing work. In this way, she was able to stay out of her brother's home and avoid seeing them and getting annoyed. Xiao Sanlang found her soon. Caught by Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian, the 2 of them learned to hide themselves in the forest. Perched up in the mountain, they could see what was going on in all directions, so they could know instantly when someone was nearby. Chapter 112 Foodies. Xiao Sanlang brought out all kinds of snacks and Yang Xiaoni's eyes started to sparkle. Brother Sanlang, you treat me so well. Wow, the chicken leg and duck leg seems so tasty. Yang Xiaoni kept eating the chicken leg and duck leg, feeling really satisfied. Xiao Sanlang chuckled. Tasty, right? I saved all of these for you. Yes, they are delicious. Yang Xiaoni nodded and took 1 bite on the chicken leg and passed it to Xiao Sanlang. Please, Brother Sanlang, you eat some too. Xiao Sanlang was also drooling for the chicken leg, but he thought of the food he was able to eat whilst Yang Xiaoni had to suffer a great deal for almost half a month. So Xiao Sanlang swallowed his saliva and shook his head, smiling. I am okay, I am full. You can just eat it all. Okay. Yang Xiaoni did not show any more generosity, seeing that he turned her down. She soon finished 2 legs, and some pieces of meat. Then she wrapped up the meat and smiled. I will eat the remaining later. Xiao Sanlang pulled out all the other snacks, like melon seeds or peanuts. Xiaoni, look. I bought them myself, let's eat them together. Yang Xiaoni's eyes were bright as she cheered in happiness. Aw, you are so nice. We have so much food to eat, that is great. Xiao Sanlang was excited as well. He nodded. Yes, these are all ours. They started to feast out in the wild. They tried every dish and discussed it enthusiastically. When they were full, they started to eat melon seeds and peanuts. Oh yes, Brother Sanlang, where did you get the money for all this? Yang Xiaoni asked. Yang Xiaoni really did not think of this before, did she? Xiao Sanlang said proudly, don't worry, I get paid for my work, good money. I still have some savings. We will buy a lot of other good food when you marry me. Oh, by the way, you know about my 5th sister-in-law. She is such a good cook. You will realize it when you come to live with us. Yang Xiaoni looked really excited, and smiled brightly. Xiao Sanlang added. What about me giving you 2 liang, so you can go and buy some dresses and anything else you want? We can talk about this later. Yang Xiaoni pursued. It is not long before I can marry you, so it is fine. If my brother knows about the money in my hand, he will steal it. Xiao Sanlang snapped angrily. Yang Liang and his wife are terrible. You will not be with them for much longer. Of course. Married sister would never need to care about her brother or sister. Xiao Sanlang spent half a day with his future wife. They spent some time chatting after eating. Xiao Sanlang gave the remaining food to Yang Xiaoni before he left reluctantly. Yang Xiaoni finished the food, and hid the snacks. She tucked them over her bed when she returned to third Grandma Yang's home. She did not share them with third Grandma Yang and her family either, otherwise it would be too annoying since she could not tell them where she got them from. Since she was full, Yang Xiaoni did not return to her brother's home for dinner. She did not go back to make dinner either. Miss Tian was so annoyed that she kept cursing Yang Xiaoni for being lazy and ungrateful. The four of them finished all the food, without leaving anything for Yang Xiaoni. Chapter 113 Sweet Barberries. It was a bustling scene in the first section of the Xiao family. The dishes served that evening included small river shrimp stir-fried with leeks, pickled cabbage and miscellaneous fish pot, sweet and sour carp, which were all paired with 2 vegetarian dishes. It was a table full of color, aroma and taste. The whole family was curious about the new way the fish had been cooked. They believed that Qiao Xian was skilled at it, and did not hesitate to pick up their chopsticks. Everyone spoke highly of the dishes. Xiao Zhenyan and Xiao Qing loved sweet and sour carp best. Qiao Xian had made them a small portion of shrimp with steamed egg. The adults loved every dish. Eldest uncle said happily, "The fish is really tasty, Miss Qiao. You can tell the method to your second aunt-in-law and third aunt-in-law, so they could make some and have a taste of it." They could not afford to buy meat, but there were many fish and shrimps in the river. Elder uncle's concern for the second section of the family and third section of the family was already deep inside his head, and he subconsciously thought of them in every aspect. Qiao Xian, as well as everyone else in the first section of the family, already lost interest in countering those words. She presented the way of how the dishes were made, with a smile. She even added many extra steps to how the dishes were made. Hearing that so much oil was needed, and wine for pickling and salt and seasonings, eldest uncle no longer had the motivation of telling the second and the third section of the family about it. They would not be able to make the dishes in this way at all. No wonder the dishes were tasty. They consisted of many condiments. He did not dare to ask his daughter-in-law to share the dishes, because all of these were bought with his daughter-in-law's dowry money. Miss Fang threw a satisfied look at Qiao Xian, smiling happily. Soon it was the 3rd day of May. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. They were discussing how they should celebrate the Dragon Boat Festival. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian planned to visit the town, whilst Miss Fang was making preparations for glutinous rice dumplings. The leaves and the glutinous rice were all well prepared. They normally made a few glutinous rice dumplings to celebrate the festival in the past and made some eggs for the children. But they had a lot of money this year, so they decided to make it big. Qiao Xian became interested in making glutinous rice dumplings as well. One day before the festival, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan went into the town to buy meat, ribs as well as the seasonings for the meat. They sliced the pork belly and put the rib in seasoning sauce for the dumplings the following day. In addition to pork belly chestnut dumplings, there were pork belly mushroom dumplings, pork ribs dumplings, and some red bean candied jujube dumplings, 8 treasure dumplings, and alkaline water dumplings, which they stored for half a month after cooking. In previous years, the Dragon Boat Festival was filled with alkaline water dumplings and bean dumplings. At most, a little chestnut was added, but meat dumplings were never made, so everyone was looking forward to it. Qiao Xian felt a bit regretful. She should have pickled some salted duck egg for salted yolk dumplings. She started to miss salted eggs. Well, she could buy some to make them herself. On the 3rd day of May, Miss Qiao went into the mountains to pick the leaves. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xiaoqi as well as Xiao Taotao went into the mountains to hunt. They decided to bring some wild animals back for the festival. They were also seeking fresh mushrooms for the dumplings. They were lucky enough to get wild roosters, wild rabbits, mushrooms and yams. On a large barberry tree, they saw the large-sized fruits hanging. Qiao Xian held her hands against the trunk, casting the superpower without disclosing much. Xiao Xiaoqi climbed up onto the tree, picked one and put it into his mouth. His eyes sparkled. It is so sweet. He picked a large bunch of it and said, "Fifth brother, fifth sister-in-law, try these." Chapter 114 Rules. Qiao Xian smiled and started to think. Of course they were sweet. She had used her superpower to make them so. The three of them nodded in agreement. The fruits were really sweet. Xiao Taotao cheered. It is rare to have such sweet barberries, let's take them home. So, they filled up half of the basket with barberries. Everyone in the family nodded and spoke highly of the sweet fruits, which they had brought home in a large quantity. Ms. Fang asked Xiao Xiaoqi to lead the way again, so Xiao Daolong, Miss Su, and Xiao Sanlang could all go to carry the barberries home for drying and winemaking. The following day, Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian went into the town for meat. They inquired about the landowner. They visited the landowner and decided to buy some land from him. Qiao Xian did not want to buy sporadic fields. She expected to buy patches and lots of fields. She could buy good fields as well as dry fields close to the water fields too. I will come to the town 3 times a month. Remember to select the fields for me. I will pay well. The landowner agreed but added a caveat. I can't find one very fast. We have to wait. Qiao Xian was aware of this too and nodded. Honestly, no households would sell water fields easily these days, because water fields were the source of their food, water and earnings. Only those who splurged or had no other way out, would sell their water fields. Once water fields were sold, not everyone was able to buy them. There were rules inside. When someone in a clan intended to sell the water fields, those from the same clan got the priority to buy them, and if those from the same clan did not want them, then the outsiders would be the next choice. Even the outsiders were divided into different categories. For example, if someone from the Xiao family wanted to sell fields, and no one from the Xiao family wanted to buy them, then it would be the Ding family who had the right next. If the Ding family did not want to buy them, then the other families from the village were allowed to buy them. When no one from the above-mentioned families wanted to buy them, then it would be the other villagers' turn. Also, cultivated talent and advanced scholar would have the rights to buy the fields first, before the remaining ones could do so. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks to sum it up, it was a long queue. Therefore, if Qiao Xian wanted to buy good fields from other villages, then she needed to have, to put it simply, good luck. But Qiao Xian was not in a hurry. What she wanted to do was to wait quietly. She wanted the fields, not for the income, but for her fundamental competence and capital. She wanted to have control over more resources. When this conversation was done, Qiao Xian went to fetch some stuff from the craftsman, such as essences and other things. The molds and tubes for lipsticks were already made, including 12 sets of molds and 600 tubes. She paid the remaining amount and took them home, whilst booking another batch of tubes. When she was done with shopping, the two of them returned to the village. The moment they arrived home, Xiao Taotao, who was taking care of the babies at home, told them that Miss Fang and Miss Su as well as Xiao Daolong went to Widow Sun's home due to some trouble. Startled, they hurried there. There were many people gathered at Widow Sun's door, which was noisy and messy. Miss Fang's cursing sound as well as Widow Sun's sneer could be heard from a distance away. Then came Widow Sun's loud scream. How dare you! The two women must have gotten into a fight. Both of them were startled. As the couple arrived, Widow Sun was under Miss Fang, being beaten and crying loudly. Miss Su was really surprised as she stood next to them. Widow Sun's daughter Ding Qingqing went up to help Widow Sun, but Miss Fang, who was really furious, started to beat the daughter as well. The mother and daughter were in a disadvantageous position. Chapter 115. A fight. Xiao Daolong and Xiao Xiaoqi intended to separate them, but they were scared. Widow's son wasn't a gentlewoman. What if the touched widow's son? Things would get complicated. The most troublesome was Ding Qingqing, who was a girl and should not be touched randomly. They were panicking. Qiao Xian screamed, "Mom!" Then she went up, took hold of Ding Qingqing's wrist, who was about to scratch Miss Fang's face. She dragged her away as she turned to Miss Su. "Help us, sister-in-law." She was not a strong woman, while Ding Qingqing was quite strong. She wasn't able to drag her away alone. Only now did Miss Su bring back to herself. She went up and helped. Both of them dragged away Ding Qingqing, who was screaming and shouting. When Ding Qingqing was dragged away, Miss Fang slapped Widow's son's face 2 times. Xiao Yunduan and his brother helped Miss Fang stand up on her feet. "Mom, what is going on?" Widow's son decided not to get up. She remained on the ground, crying and cursing. "They are such shameless people. They are bullying a widow like me. I want to die, I want to die." She was already in bad shape, with unkempt hair and red prints on her face and neck. Tears were running down her cheeks, whilst her nose was runny. She looked horrible. Miss Fang spat and cursed. "You shameless bitch. How dare you spread rumors about me? You are a widow, so what? How dare you cry when you spread rumors around? You are the shameless one. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Miss Fang started to tell the story in anger. It was a long tale. The first section of the Qiao family had brought many mushrooms home, and the villagers, who saw that they had no problem eating mushrooms from the mountains, also went to the mountains to fetch mushrooms. They got some from the Qiao family first and decided to find the right ones. Miss Fang gave them generously to those who came to the door. But there were so many mushrooms in the mountains, and they were open to everyone in the village. They could never get enough of them. Even the second section of the family and the third section of the family went to find some mushrooms. But they did not want to put much seasoning inside the food, so they did not think they were tasty, thus dropping the idea. They even laughed at the first section of the family for eating horrible things like these. However, all went well until some family got poisoned by the mushrooms from the mountains. Luckily, it wasn't highly poisonous, and they didn't eat too much. The family had abdominal pain, vomiting, and bile came out. After tossing all night, they drank a few large bowls of mung bean soup before getting better. After that, the villagers were too frightened to find mushrooms or try new things. However, Widow's son kept spreading rumors around the village, saying that it was the first section of the Qiao family who set them up. But for her mushrooms, no one would have got poisoned. So the Qiao family should take responsibility. There had already been many people who were jealous of the Qiao family, and they believed that what Widow's son said was true. So, they started to complain about the Qiao family. It was true, but for them, no one would have eaten the mushrooms in the mountains. Therefore, it was their fault. The affected family also wanted to get some compensation from the Qiao family. Chapter 116 Reason they had a rich daughter-in-law, didn't they? They must be having a lot of money. That was how those terrible rumors went about. They had not dared to spread the rumor at the beginning, but Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma joined the group, which emboldened them. When Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma failed to take advantage of the first section of the family, they found that Miss Fang had found her supporter, namely her daughter-in-law. Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma were very annoyed. With this opportunity in hand, they started to make a big noise. They were not defending the Qiao family at all. Therefore, when the villagers found that the 2 women from the Qiao family were spreading rumors, the others started to spread even worse and wilder rumors. Miss Fang's friends passed on the message to Miss Fang. Miss Fang was so annoyed. So, as she went about in the village and cursed at anyone who said those things to her. After all, she had to catch them right on the spot. She could not just let the rumor spread. Otherwise, it would be her family which would look bad. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Right then, she happened to catch Widow's son, who was the main culprit behind the rumor. Miss Fong and Widow's son had never liked each other, and at this moment, she was taking revenge for all the past doings. Miss Fong gave Widow's son, who was in the middle of making a false claim, a push, and then they started to shout at each other and fight. Miss Fong glanced about and shouted at Widow's son, "Are you so stupid? There are many poisonous mushrooms in the mountains, and everyone knows that. We pick mushrooms for ourselves. Who has the say to stop us? No one has set the rules for picking mushrooms in the mountains. It has nothing to do with our family whether others want to get them or not. It's not that people in our family are forcing someone to go up the mountain to harvest. Miss Sun, you slanted mouth, slanted eyes, black heart and liver, a bad stomach woman. Why did you say that Ding Dania's family got into trouble because of us? Should our family be responsible for compensation? If you don't tell me a reason today, I will tear your stinky mouth apart." Only now did Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian understand what was going on. How ridiculous! Xiao Yunduan said coldly. Mom, don't worry, everyone with a wise head would understand what is going on. They won't find the ridiculous thing worth the while. Qiao Xian laughed and said in a mocking tone, Auntie Sun, it is your fault. You are trying to cause trouble between our family and Ding Daniu. We never offended you before, did we? We eat mushrooms, wild plants and fish and shrimps. We can eat whatever we want. No one can dictate what to do to us, right? We are all adults, and we are not stupid, we know what the reason is. You are so silly to have caused the conflict between us. All the villagers nodded. Some felt guilty and anxious, some were reasonable. True. The matter has nothing to do with the Xiao family. True, they never forced you to eat the mushrooms. Miss Fong sneered. Do you think that she had a brain? If she did, she wouldn't have done something like this. You bitch, stop pretending to be dead. Speak now, speak. Here is the stage for you. Chapter 117. Louder cries, how dare you call me a bully? I can scold you and hit you as much as I want, you have no right to complain about others when you are being a bitch. Miss Fong glared at Widow's son, and intended to kick her. Widow's son was also good at being rude. But she had no way out when she ran into someone like Miss Fong. She was worried about the strength of the Xiao family, and Miss Fong even had a cultivated talent as a son and county magistrate's daughter as the daughter-in-law, so she did not dare to say a thing but started to sob. Disdainfully, Miss Fong said, Shame on you. You think people would find you pitiful and feel sorry for you because you are crying? Widow's son cried even more loudly. She was ashamed, angry, and was holding a grudge. But Miss Fong did not care. She did not intend to let her go so easily. It was never easy to get rid of the sin of spreading rumors. If she was too nice, they would continue to bully her. So, she could not stand being at the center of the rumor. Forced, Widow's son could not help but collapse. Why are you only targeting me? Everyone is spreading rumors about you. Why do you cling to me? Qiao Xian laughed. How stupid could this woman be? She had just betrayed her accomplices. She added. But my mother-in-law only heard the rumor from you, so it is your fault. You are still trying to cause conflicts between us and everyone else. You must not spread any more rumors, for the sake of morality. All the villagers agreed and started to complain about Widow's Sunday. True. She spreads rumors about everyone. How immoral. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, a bad woman. Don't talk nonsense when you have no evidence. Widow's son was so angry at the moment. Miss Fong goaded her with a sly smile. True. Otherwise, you can just tell me who is spreading the rumor. Widow Sun did not dare to spill any names, in case she offended others. She even regretted having shouted that out loud a while ago. She was feeling so messy inside her head. As she was just in the middle of the mess, Qiao Xian forced her. No telling. Then you are the one creating rumors about everyone. I never knew there was anyone like this in our village. Annoyed, Widow Sun screamed. It is Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma who did it. They did it, yes they did it. What? Ms. Fong was startled, so was everyone else. It is Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma. Widow Sun sneered as she calmed down. She had just revealed Ms. Fang's sisters-in-law to see what could Ms. Fong do about it now. But for these two women, she would not have been caught red-handed by Ms. Fong today. Widow Sun thought angrily that Ms. Fong could go to them for justice if she dared. Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma both said that you have a rich daughter-in-law, so you pushed away your own family. You are selfish and self-centered, and you must be setting up the trap for the villagers to fetch the mushrooms in the mountains. You have to pay for the consequences. They even said that the first section of the family look kind, but they are actually very greedy. They try to rob their daughter-in-law's dowry, whilst the daughter-in-law is a stupid woman who has been tricked but still treats you well. How funny. Chapter 118. Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma. Widow Sun decided to spill everything in one go, be it real or false. You goddamn bitch. Ms. Fong was about to beat Widow Sun out of anger, before she finished her words. Ding Ching Ching screamed as she held Widow Sun in her arms. Mom! Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan stopped Ms. Fong directly. Qiao Xian said gently, Mom, these words are ridiculous. Widow Sun is used to causing conflicts between people, and now they are trying to separate our family. I am not stupid. I can tell who treats me well and who doesn't. How ridiculous. I am not lying. It was Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma who said it. Hey you two, don't you dare run away. Widow Sun screamed at the top of her voice, as she saw Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma among the crowd. The crowd turned to the direction she was pointing towards. The villagers around Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma retreated backward subconsciously, so the two women stood out directly. You too. Ms. Fong glared at them too, looking really furious. With teeth clenched, she asked word by word. Is Widow Sun speaking the truth? Hi, God and Buddha in heaven, anyone who dares to lie will bring bad luck to the whole family. I can swear to God that I did not lie, do you dare to? Widow Sun, who had successfully switched the conflict, decided to put all the blame to the two women. Before they said anything, she screamed and stopped them with her poisonous oath. You are just talking nonsense. Widow Sun sneered. I am not lying. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. It was time for her to feel proud. She was going to see how the three of them fought with each other. Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma were dumbfounded. They could definitely counter her, but Widow Sun's vow was too fierce for them to cook up any lies. Actually, Ms. Fong knew that the two sisters-in-law of hers were spreading rumors, except the one about dowry. These two sisters-in-law of hers dared to say everything. They were so used to taking advantage of the first section of the family, that they got angry when they found that they were no longer able to take advantage of them. It was as if the first section of the family owed them something big. That was why they vented their anger in this manner. It was so humiliating when they spat out the family affairs to the whole village. But she had no other way out, now when Widow Sun put it out in front of everyone. You are really nice, aren't you? Ms. Fong sneered. Ms. Niu explained. This is what the villagers say. I was just making some comments. Also, but for you, why would anyone go and pick the mushrooms? It is your fault. Did I force you to pick the mushrooms? Ms. Niu snorted. If you hadn't picked the mushrooms, no one else would have done the same, Qiao Xian chuckled. We aren't stupid, are we? Don't we have the ability to choose what to do and what not to do? Are you all going to follow our steps? Miss Qiao is right. I address you as my sister-in-law, and we have always offered so much help to your family. But you are making complaints behind our backs. That is so hurtful. Henceforth, we are not just separate sections of the family, we will live separately too. Don't come to our door whenever you feel like it from now onwards. Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma looked timid, unconvinced, yet they did not dare to utter a sound. Chapter 119 Daughter-in-law. There was no need to conceal anything, when the affair was already revealed to the whole village. Miss Fong added. You think that I am coaxing my daughter-in-law for her dowry? Have you personally witnessed that? Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma became even more furious. Ms. Ma said, after Miss Qiao becomes part of your family, you always have new clothes to wear, meat to eat, and wagons full of stuff. They are all bought by Miss Qiao. That is true. Qiao Xian smiled. I can do whatever I want with my dowry. Mom treats me well, and I love to buy those for her, so what? If you don't feel that is fair, you can get a good daughter-in-law for yourself as well. Everyone started to laugh. After that, everyone felt jealous as well. Miss Fong was so lucky as to get a daughter-in-law like that. She was the ideal one. Xiao Yunduan could not help but turn to Qiao Xian. Excitement arose in his eyes, and he could not help but feel gentle towards this woman next to him. You, Ms. Ma almost wanted to spill blood out of anger. You ungrateful girl. I am doing this for your sake. You have been tricked. Just see what will happen when you lose all your dowry. That is not your business anymore. Qiao Xian smiled. I can earn money when I run out of my dowry. Moreover, I have my husband with me, right? Startled, Ms. Ma suddenly realized that Xiao Yunduan had already become a cultivated talent. He had a promising future ahead. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, no, that was not possible. Xiao Yunduan must have had dumb luck to have become a cultivated talent. It was because Lu Lang had gotten sick he took his position. He was definitely not going to have a promising future. Lu Lang had said that Xiao Yunduan was never good at studies, and the teacher never spoke highly of him. It must have been the ancestral blessings that helped him obtain this position, and he was never going to make it to the next level. Ms. Ma could not help but say angrily, when she thought of how her son had not even made any progress in studies. You can never know what is going to happen in the future, maybe. Despite what she was thinking, she did not dare say anything bad about Xiao Yunduan, in case Miss Fong tore her apart and their elder brother would also give up helping them either. Therefore, she had to put it in an implicit way, indicating that it was Qiao Xian who was not clear-minded enough. Qiao Xian smiled even more freely. Yet again, it is not your business, second aunt-in-law. I am so happy to have a mother-in-law like this, who is like no one else, who might even cause me to lose my dowry. Villagers burst into laughter. Everyone present understood what Qiao Xian was saying, and she was right. Those were true words. You! Ms. Mang got so annoyed. Ms. Fong was no longer as angry as before, when she heard what Qiao Xian said. She felt proud to have a daughter-in-law like this, who was helping them make a fortune and even managed to keep peace in the family. Suddenly, Ms. Fong did not feel like going any further with Ms. Niu or Ms. Ma. They were just jealous of her. The more jealous they were, the better life they would live. That was the biggest revenge she could take on them. She was going to make them even angrier. Good girl, I know you are the best. You are our lucky star, and you have brought a great fortune to our family. You will get better and better. These jealous ones can wait and see, right? Chapter 125 On Ms. Fong glanced at Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma, snorting. I can tell that you never treated us well, since you have spread rumors such about us. In that case, we will not hang out so often. How shameless you are to have paid this kind of respect to us, who helped you before. Just try to save some face for yourself. Ms. Fong snapped at Widow Sunday, you bitch, keep your mouth shut. If I hear anything more about this matter, I will tear your mouth apart. Let's leave. Ms. Fong left with her sons and daughters-in-law happily and proudly. Ms. Nyo and Ms. Ma glared at Widow's son and left in embarrassment. Widow's son cursed out loud for a bit and then went home with her daughter. Back at home, Ms. Fong let out a sigh of relief and said with a cold face, just listen carefully, don't you show a smile to the second section of the family and third section of the family anymore. They are such ungrateful people. I will never share any food with them in the future. How dare they try to take advantage of me? Qiao Xian tried to console Ms. Fong, and distracted her by discussing the preparation of festivals. Xiao Yunduan tried to speak with Qiao Xian, but then decided not to. Qiao Xian leaned forward and asked him with a smile. Anything you want to say, darling? Xiao Yunduan. She was calling him darling so naturally. It sounded really nice. Don't be mad about what was being discussed about your dowry. What? I am not. Qiao Xian smiled. My dowry is not valuable. Anyways, I am prosperous now. And we will get wealthier in the future, won't we? Xiao Yunduan smiled and nodded with the load going off his heart. True. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Qiao Xian smiled. If I am not as wealthy in the future, I will turn to you for money. You have to create some wealth too. Xiao Yunduan could not help but feel his heart throbbing. As he saw her sparkling and black, large eyes, he nodded. Of course, my earnings are all yours. I need to study now, I am going now. He tried to calm himself down as he left, making Qiao Xian chuckle. Fight on, darling. Xiao Yunduan almost tripped over. In the afternoon, when eldest uncle returned home, he looked very happy. He said with a smile, I just ran into my brothers. They said that we can celebrate the festival together tomorrow. We are eating at second brother's home tomorrow night, all of us. What? Ms. Fong was startled. Eldest uncle seemed to show off when he walked in, speaking loudly. Both Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan heard him, and everyone was really surprised. Xiao Sanlang responded with a sneer. Dad, are you sure? You couldn't have heard it wrong, could you? It is such a rare event that second uncle invited us. During the past few years, the three sections of the family gathered for dinner at the first section of the family, and it had always been the first section who treated them all. The other sections had never offered even a single grain of rice. Sometimes they even complained about the size of the chickens, which were not enough for them. It was so surprising that the second section of the family would offer to treat them to dinner. What are you talking about? You should be careful with your words, you bridegroom-to-be. Eldest uncle glared at Xiao Sanlang angrily and then said with a smile, I told you that they are not that stingy. They are treating us to dinner. Chapter 121 Bad People. Ms. Fong, he is really treating us to dinner, and he also said that we can just go there without bringing anything over. They are so kind. Don't say anything bad about them anymore, okay? Eldest uncle was so emotional when he spoke. This was exactly what he had been looking forward to. The whole family was in harmony and no one was taking advantage of each other. It was so nice. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan exchanged a look and understood why the second section of the family was suddenly asking them to eat dinner together. Qiao Xian pursed her lips and whispered. I am not going, it is really dangerous. Xiao Yunduan said, Don't worry, Mom won't. Before Xiao Yunduan finished his words, Miss Fong snorted and said harshly, You can go there if you want to. Ask your children if they want to. I am not going though, I don't want to die there. What are you talking about? Eldest uncle was surprised. He was so disappointed and felt as if cold water had been poured over his head. He shared this good news as soon as he walked in. He was in a hurry to highlight that his brothers were actually nice. He had not expected that Miss Fong would react like this. You must go. You said that they were stingy, but now you don't want to go when they are inviting us to dinner. You are such a piece of work. Eldest uncle was really displeased. Dad, you don't know what happened today. I guess that is why second uncle wants to treat us to dinner. We better not go there, said Xiao Yunduan. Eldest uncle was surprised. What happened? Miss Fong sneered and narrated the whole story. She had intended to tell eldest uncle about what happened today, irrespective of whether there was any invitation for dinner. She had gone through the story numerous times in her heart, so she finished the tale smoothly and fast. Eldest uncle. He was totally dumbfounded. He felt that the head was buzzing. Before he was able to think about it, he spilled out. That can't be possible. Is there a misunderstanding? A misunderstanding. Miss Fang's voice arose as she said angrily, the whole village heard them, and they admitted it in front of the whole village. Now you are saying that it is a misunderstanding. In your eyes, everyone else is nice but me, right? I am a bad woman, am I? No, that is not what I mean. It is just, eldest uncle could not utter a word. He felt so messed up in his heart. How could that be possible? How could they do something so hurtful? Miss Fong answered coldly. From today onwards, I am not going to get involved with them. Moreover, they are never going to get anything from me. I would rather throw everything in the water than share it with them. Eldest uncle opened his mouth but said nothing. But later in the evening, second uncle and third uncle came over, reminding them about the dinner. Eldest uncle was at a loss. He had no idea how to turn them down. He had never refused them before either. He was about to agree subconsciously. But Miss Fong turned them down directly. We have food at home. We will not be going over to your place. I can't afford to eat at your house ever. Chapter 122. Elder sister-in-law second uncle was not so confident anymore. He smiled and coaxed her. What are you talking about, elder sister-in-law? We are a family. We live separately. Miss Fong sneered. No one in our family is like this. Countered by Miss Fong, second uncle could not hold the pleasant expression anymore. He snapped angrily. Elder sister-in-law, what are you talking about? We all make mistakes. Ms. Niu has learned from her mistake and she is going to correct herself in the future. We are expressing our regret through dinner tomorrow night. You can't just ignore our sincerity. True. Third uncle added. Ms. Ma is apologetic about her mistake as well. She is not going to make the same mistake ever again. She likes to spread rumors, but she is not a bad person. Same goes for Ms. Niu. Elder brother, just talk to elder sister-in-law. We are a family, and we will become a laughing stock for others around us, if we are not in a harmonious relationship. True, elder brother. Both second uncle and third uncle understood clearly what the eldest uncle wanted. They knew how to make him feel soft-hearted. They kept installing ideas into eldest uncle by saying sorry and how terribly they had behaved. Eventually, eldest uncle sighed. Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma spread too much gossip. You have to watch out for them so that they won't make the same mistake again. I can drop it this time, but I will tear their mouths apart, if it happens ever again. Miss Fong snorted. But we are not going to have dinner with you. We are siblings, but we need to have a clear account. We have our own children and grandchildren, and we should keep the matters separated clearly. We are not taking advantage of your families, and you should never take advantage of us either. Not ever. We are going to live separately. Second uncles and third uncles' faces changed. Elder sister-in-law, you are still blaming us. Ms. Fong replied. Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma hurt us so badly, why can't I remember this matter? Ms. Fong did not want to ignore that, no matter what second uncle and third uncle said. She was still being reasonable by being polite. But if she gave in any further, it would be much harder for her to defend herself in the future. The second section of the family and third section of the family were trying to set her up. Their behavior was so annoying, especially when it came to the rumor that she was trying to get daughter-in-law's dowry. Ms. Fong had been a strong woman all her life. She just could not stand this accusation. Both Xiao Daolong and Xiao Yunduan were silent. They were apparently taking Ms. Fang's side. Eldest uncle intended to say something, but he had no one behind his back. Second uncle and third uncle left the first section of the family with sunk faces. How difficult it is to pursue a narrow-minded woman like this. Just drop it for now. We can talk about it in the future. Despite the anger, the two men did not think that Ms. Fong would stick to that attitude throughout her life. They had a long way ahead of them. When the two uncles left the first section of the family, everyone at home went down to their own business. They behaved normally, as if what had just happened was not so important, and as if no one cared about that. Eldest uncle felt weird inside his heart. He tried to talk it through, so that he could offer his brothers a chance of correcting their mistake. But he did not get that chance. When the two uncles returned to their home, they blamed their wives for letting the rumor be heard by Ms. Fong. She is the type who takes revenge, got it? Now she has this issue in her hands. With this, she can do whatever she wants in the future. Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma were very annoyed as well. They did not mean to let the rumor spread. It was just a small talk. But for some reason, it sounded really big and bad in front of others. Ms. Fong must have done it on purpose. Also, Widow's son was the main culprit. But for her big mouth, nothing like this would have happened. That bitch was definitely going to be disciplined. Chapter 123. Shameless. On other hand, when Ding Qingqing and Widow's son rushed home, they hugged each other and cried loudly. Widow's son was so annoyed. She kept cursing behind the door, whilst Ding Qingqing continued to cry. The mother and daughter were living alone, so they felt isolated, in fights and arguments. Mom, just don't get involved with those women who gossip. Ding Qingqing suggested. She felt so ashamed about what happened to them today. But Widow's son, who was feeling annoyed, got further angry when hearing what Ding Qingqing said. She gave Ding Qingqing a poke on the head. You are terrible as a daughter. I am doing all this for you. Otherwise, what am I doing in this broken village? Ding Qingqing got so upset that she shed tears. She just could not understand why this was for her sake. Widow's son could not stop when she started to curse. You must be dreaming about Xiao Yunduan, aren't you? He is already married, so what are you fantasizing about him for? He is a cultivated talent, but he is never going to make it further than that. Ding Qingqing could not help but cry harder. No. You know that he is already married. What more can I do? You look down at cultivated talent, but who can be better than him? Ding Qingqing sobbed and went into the room, shutting the door behind. She really liked Xiao Yunduan. She had liked him since she was little. He was different from the other men in the village. He was quiet and clean, good-looking as well. She knew that he was a class apart. Look at what he had achieved. He became a cultivated talent at such a young age. But her mother did not like Ms. Fong, and when she mentioned that she wanted to marry him, her mother disapproved of it. When he made it to the cultivated talent level, she got so happy that she wanted to share this with her mother, and maybe her mother would change her mind. But before she was able to share the idea with her mother, he got engaged and soon married the daughter of the county magistrate. She spent the whole night crying in her blanket on his wedding day. She had no hope to be with him anymore. After that, she barely went out, and she almost never saw him. Unexpectedly, they met under such circumstances. She got so nervous upon seeing him, but she felt even sadder. His wife was born in a rich family. How could she have compared to her? Also, her mother had such a row with his mother. The more she thought about this, the sadder Ding Qingqing felt. It was a dark night. Silence dominated the whole village. Everyone had gone to bed. A black silhouette came to Widow Sun's doorstep, glanced about and gave a push to the door. He flashed inside and chained the door from inside. After they had a good time together, Widow Sun leaned in his arms, speaking through clenched teeth. "Miss Fong is horrible. You have to help me." The man hesitated but then consoled her. "She is a bitch, what are you stuck with her for? I am here to be with you. You said that you need a silver hairpin. I have got it here with me today." Widow Sun was overjoyed, but still felt quite upset. "No, that is not enough. Are you afraid of them?" "Of course not." "Then take revenge for me, otherwise I will not feel better inside my heart." Chapter 124 Chance. As the proverb goes, the county magistrate isn't that useful. Even if they have a daughter of the county magistrate and a cultivated talent, so what? You will always have the chance to bring them down. You can destroy them all, and they would not be able to do anything about it. The man frowned even more deeply, and turned impatient. Seeing that she did not want to give up the topic, the man said with a smile, Okay, I promise you that I will teach them a lesson, whenever I have the chance. You have to find the chance. Okay, baby, let's just drop this topic, we can just, what? Oh, it was the Dragon Boat Festival. Early in the morning, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan went out together. They went to watch the boat race in the county. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao were excited and would have liked to follow along but Miss Fong turned them down ruthlessly. There were too many people at the race. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian would not be able to take care of them. What if something happened to them? The brother and sister did not insist either. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian took the bullock cart and went to the Yunshui River located in the south of the town. The Yunshui River was a major river and it was flowing across the whole town. The race was taking place on the broad side of the river, which was the best position for the race. There was nice scenery around, and people often came here to ride horses and have fun, especially in spring. When the two of them arrived, there were already many people on both sides of the riverbank. It was bustling, and people were well dressed. They started to talk and cheer around, making comments. It was the first time for Qiao Xian to experience such a bustling scene. She got really excited to be here. Her eyes were large and sparkling. She looked around curiously. Although there was no other entertainment in this era, the nature was pure and green, and she felt so happy to see all of this. Looking at her enthusiasm, Xiao Yunduan subconsciously slowed down and gave her a tour around, whilst thinking inside his heart, what a pitiful girl. She must have never been out in the town till now. After a while, the two of them were united with those from the school. Apart from Xiao Yunduan, some of the fellows also had their family members with them and they greeted each other. Qiao Xian looked very pretty and behaved amicably. She stood out among everyone else, who knew about her background. So, they sized her up curiously and glanced at her on the sly. Most of them could not help but feel jealous and envious of Xiao Yunduan. Honestly, Madame Qiao and County Magistrate Qiao had never revealed what Qiao Xian had been through before she got married. After all, it was related to their reputation. Therefore, all they knew about her was that she had a noble background. Xiao Lulang felt even worse inside his heart. Some of his fellows liked to tease him because they knew that he was narrow-minded. They kept saying that Xiao Yunduan was lucky and talented, and that he was going to have a promising future. That made Xiao Lulang feel even more jealous. He swore to himself that he was going to bring down Xiao Yunduan on the occasion of couplet making today. He was going to let everyone understand that he was more talented than Xiao Yunduan, who had only pure luck on his side. Chapter 125. Face for them soon. Dean Meng and Mr. Zhou as well as Mr. Wu from Minghua College came over as well. All of them looked really excited. I did not expect that Officer Qiao would be here. He is hosting a banquet with County Officer Zhang ahead. Let's all go and celebrate with them. Oh yes, Madam Qiao and Lady Qiao are both here, so all of you should behave yourselves well. All the disciples looked both surprised and overjoyed. That is great. Yes, that is such a rare opportunity. Mr. Dean, don't worry, we will all behave well. As they were expressing their excitement, they could not help but look at Xiao Yunduan, and they could not help but feel even more jealous. Xiao Yunduan was Officer Qiao's son-in-law. It must have been for his honor that Officer Qiao had gathered everyone. Qiao Xian followed along with the group. Xiao Yunduan looked at her. He could not help but show worries on his face. Qiao Xian smiled at him and shook her head slightly. Don't worry, they don't want to be humiliated, they wanted to keep their facade and would not do anything to her openly. Officer Qiao was her father, and the whole family was here, so she needed to greet them, no matter what. Officer Qiao was having a great time with the folk, and all the officers were watching the show. But they were in a very good position, where they were separated from the others, with guards standing by so the civilians could remain separated. It was a high spot in that area where the view was excellent. It was not very close or far away from the bank. It was the perfect place to watch the show, not crowded but bustling. So when the group came to this place, they were far removed from noise. They all went up and greeted the honored guests. Officer Qiao looked chubby and white, wearing a kind and affable smile. He was greeting everyone with politeness, and even chatted for a bit with Dean Meng, who was asked to take the seat. Qiao Xian bowed and greeted them as well. Hello, father, madam. Oh, you are here. Oh, all right. Officer Qiao was surprised to see Qiao Xian here, and he almost burst out the question, who are you? As he looked closer, he noticed that it was the concubine's daughter. Otherwise he would have lost his face in front of so many people. Officer Qiao was very surprised. Somehow he sensed that his daughter seemed to look a bit different from before. No wonder he almost did not recognize her. But that was a momentary thought which did not lead to any further ideas. He barely met this daughter of his before, and did not know well what she looked like. But Madame Qiao's and Qiao Wei's faces changed. Qiao Wei was almost going to snap at Qiao Xian, but for Madame Qiao's reminder. Qiao Xian smiled. You are here too, come and take a seat. Okay, madam. Qiao Xian smiled and behaved gently, walking towards the seat next to Madame Qiao with composure. After she took the seat, she looked up and met Xiao Yunduan's concerned look. She smiled at him, trying to console him. She was right. Madame Qiao would not humiliate her in public. Not everyone from the college had the seat, except for Dean Meng and some cultivated talents. All the others were standing behind the seats. But Xiao Lulang was different. Chapter 126. Young Master Xiao Lulang was not a cultivated talent, but he was Xiao Yunduan's cousin, whilst Xiao Yunduan was county magistrate's son-in-law. Therefore, Xiao Lulang pretended not to know the rules, and took the seat. No one went up to ask him to get up. Qiao Xian soon noticed that on the left side of Officer Qiao, there were two strange young men seated. Both of them were over 20 years old. One looked full of knowledge. He had a noble temperament, holding a folding fan, dressed in white, and was very elegant. The other person was slightly younger. He had handsome features, and a pair of peach blossom eyes, flying diagonally into the temples, long and narrow. He looked bright. He had a smile on his face, giving people a feeling of laziness and arrogance. The royal blue robe with gold trim was very gorgeous, which made him even more eye-catching. Both of them had a very interesting attitude towards Officer Qiao. They were polite, but not flattering. On the contrary, Officer Qiao seemed to flatter the handsome man in white every now and then. By this point, Qiao Xian more or less understood what was going on here. Her father did not like to hang out with common folks. He was focused on getting promoted and becoming rich. He was a very practical person. In the past, he would have never come to watch the dragon boat race. He must be here because of these two men who were interested in the race. He even had Madame Qiao and Qiao Wei with him. So, this young master must be holding a high position. Qiao Ko was also a follower of Qiao Wei, so Qiao Ko would always be with Qiao Wei wherever she was. But, Qiao Ko was nowhere to be seen today. Apparently, Qiao Wei did not need her to be around, and must have stopped Qiao Ko from meeting these two young masters. What if Qiao Ko got in touch with either of them? Qiao Wei would be very displeased. Qiao Xian could not help but smile. That would be an interesting show. Qiao Xian was absolutely right. At this moment in a small room of a small yard, Qiao Ko had finished crying hard. Concubine Du kept consoling her and said, "Don't cry anymore, 3rd Mississippi. What if you get swollen eyes? What if Madame Qiao and Elder Miss see you? So what?" Qiao Ko snapped angrily. "Qiao Wei, the bitch is so narrow-minded, selfish and arrogant. She has her own suitor but still doesn't want me to have a good suitor. She doesn't allow me to meet young Master Xia, and also forbids me from meeting young Master Zhang and young Master Zhao. Mom, what should I do?" That white-clothed young master was called Xie Jingrong. He was the lineal elder grandson of the noble family, the Xie family. It was a very prestigious family in the city. He was talented, elegant and handsome. He was not into imperial examinations, but he was not someone to be looked down upon. His lineal grandfather was the former head of the Ministry of Personnel, whilst his father was the left officer of the Ministry of Rights. His mother was County Qingping, the only child of Lord Jian. More than 10 people of the Xia family were working as officers in the capital or some local areas. Moreover, there were endless of them who had achieved the level of recommended man and cultivated talent, but were yet to be granted official titles. That was a huge, noble clan that was far beyond the Qiao family's reach. Therefore, when Xie Jingrong was on a trip in this county with Yuezhing Shao, who was the 3rd young master of the Yuezhing family, an enormous business family, County Magistrate Qiao heard about it and came to greet them happily. The Xie family had a wide network. Although their clan was not based in the capital, they had a huge network in the capital. Therefore, County Magistrate Qiao hoped that the Xia family could help with his transfer back to the capital. He was sure that he could make it happen. Chapter 127 Qiao Ko and Concubine Du. Concubine Du had heard that Xie Jingrong was not yet engaged, and she was very happy about that. Qiao Ko was quite pretty and was also a miss from an officer's family. She should be a great match for Xie Jingrong. Xie Jingrong was now in the county, and she believed that it was a good opportunity for the two of them to get married. Qiao Ko had looked at Xie Jingrong briefly before, and felt so bashful even to think about marrying him. If she could be martially connected to the Xia family and became Xie Jingrong's wife, she would be really satisfied. Xie Jingrong was not into the imperial examinations, but he was already a recommended man. With his talent, he could definitely become a primus easily by exerting a little effort. When they got married, things would be different. By that time, she could try to persuade him towards serious studies, and he would definitely become better. Moreover, he had a great background. If he ever became a primus, he would definitely make it to the highest position in his career. That was a promising future. Both Qiao Ko and Concubine Du had drawn a beautiful picture about his future in their heads. Concubine Du coaxed Officer Qiao, and talked into Officer Qiao's ears. He was moved. However, after speaking with Madame Qiao turned down the proposal calmly. She was not as talkative as Concubine do and did not make a long speech. All she said was that Xie Jingrong was from a noble family. He was talented, good-looking, and his grandparents' positions were also high. He was even qualified enough to marry a princess, or some noble miss from a prestigious family. Why would the Xie family allow him to marry a mere concubine's daughter? She had heard that young Master Xie had a very high standard towards his future wife, and that was why he had not gotten married till date. Would Qiao Ko be capable enough to be a match for him? They could not risk it. Only then did Officer Qiao realize what was going on. He was taken aback. He lectured Concubine Du severely, who had been waiting for his news outside. She almost caused him a lot of trouble. Concubine Du knew that it must have been Madame Qiao who created the disruption. She was angry and furious, but could do nothing about it. The marriage would not work out, if the madam of the family disapproved of it. Qiao Ko was very annoyed too. She had assumed that with Qiao Xian's help, it seemed as if she had had a good position in the family. She even sneaked out just to run into Xie Jingrong and Yu Zhengshao. However, Xie Jingrong and Yu Zhengshao returned to the hostel, after Officer Qiao's persuasion. Madame Qiao sneered and told Officer Qiao what happened. Officer Qiao got so furious that he slapped hard on Qiao Ko's face, grounding both her and her mother. He was worried that Xie Jingrong would get angry about it, so he asked Xie Jingrong and Yu Zhengshao to watch the race, as a way of compensation. Qiao Wei kept sneering at Qiao Ko. She told her about the race, and then mocked her. "Do you think you are good enough for young Master Xie?" Concubine Du even asked Madame Qiao to take Qiao Ko along for the race, but her request was turned down. They were both really furious and sad, sitting at home. The race started soon. With Officer Qiao present here, the prize had to be good. Officer Qiao expressed that the grand prize would be a roasted pig and goat, and the winning team would share the prizes. In addition, the winning team would be granted 2 liang. The prize was extremely luxurious. Chapter 128 praises every team spared no efforts for the race this year, and the civilians were all very excited, cheering along the banks. With the order put forward, the sound of drums was violently falling like raindrops, and the dragon boats that were ready to go like an arrow from the string, rushed forward across the water. The civilians on both sides were cheering in excitement, loudly. The boats were speeding, chasing one after another. It was a great scene. Qiao Xian was watching with a lot of concentration, and she almost clapped in excitement, but for the place she was seated at. Qiao Wei rolled her eyes as she saw how Qiao Xian got excited about the show. How narrow-minded and stupid. Qiao Xian blinked her eyes and turned to Qiao Xian. "What are you talking about, sister?" Qiao Wei sneered and said, "I am speaking highly of you." Qiao Xian got excited and replied cheerfully, as her clear-looking eyes sparkled. "Thank you, sister, I think highly of you too." Qiao Wei got furious. "You! Just drop it." Madame Qiao turned to Qiao Xian, and gave her a warning suggestion. "Just watch the show and don't talk." "Okay, mother." Qiao Xian smiled, looking obedient. Madame Qiao sneered inwardly. She somehow felt that she had been making no efforts to tease this woman. This bitch seemed to get so increasingly annoyed after she got married. She used to be so obedient in the past. Was she thinking that she was a broken jar and she did not need to care about anything? Qiao Wei was even more furious. She was always the dominator among the 3 sisters, and could always do whatever she wanted. Now she had been set up by Qiao Xian, who might have had no idea that she had set her up. But she was still really furious. She found that she had been tricked. The race went on. Although this section of the river was wide, it was obviously impossible for a total of 26 dragon boat teams to line up all at once. Therefore, the preliminary competition was divided 4 times over. Each time the first place would be rematched to compete for the top spot. The whole process of the game was very lively and intense. When everyone watched the game, they even wrote poems to add to the fun. County Magistrate Qiao learned that Xie Jingrong was very talented, and that he loved to write poetry too. So he exchanged a few words with Xie Jingrong and then gave some regards to County Officer Zhang. County Officer Zhang said loudly, "Today is the Dragon Boat Festival, which coincides with this lively event. We can't have fun without poetry. What about we all make some poems for the beautiful scenery around here?" County Magistrate Qiao laughed and added, Yes, County Officer Zhang is right. Dean Meng, don't be restrained, just make some poems, so we can let young Master Xie make some remarks about them. That would be such a great honor." Xie Jingrong felt helpless, but he was a man with honor. Instead of countering him, he lowered his head slightly and said, "Thank you for the compliment, Officer Qiao." Yue Xiao wasn't so happy. He rolled his eyes and said, "Poetry is too complicated, what about making couplets, and it adds much more money." County Magistrate Qiao was startled, but smiled when Xie Jingrong approved of this idea by default. Good idea. Young Master Yuezheng is right. Let's make couplets." No one knew where young Master Xie was from, but seeing how County Magistrate Qiao treated him, they all believed that he was a big figure. Chapter 129 Not outstanding, County Officer Zhang added, and when Dean Meng agreed, all the disciples started to show off. Someone made the first couplet, whilst the other made the second. All the couplets needed to be related to Dragon Boat. Some were excellent, which were spoken highly of by the others. Couplets included Wormgrass for the men, and Rush Grass for the emperor. Beautiful ladies among grass, pure-hearted scholars of poetry. Dragon Boat Day and Pear Flower, summer morning and birds chirping. Hearing the couplets, Xie Jingrong believed that some were almost up to standard, so he made some remarks, causing them to want to make even more. Xiao Lulang had tried to make some couplets but none of them were good enough, failing to catch the attention of County Magistrate Qiao and Xie Jingrong. He felt quite distressed. But when he thought of how his cousin did not make any, he felt encouraged and less distressed. Compared to Xiao Yunduan, he was much better. Motivated, Xiao Lulang decided to scrape his brain to show his talent. In fact, Xiao Yunduan just did not want to make any couplets. He did not like to stand out. Also, Officer Qiao and Madame Qiao did not like him, and Madame Qiao held a grudge against him. In this case, he tried to keep a low profile and stay away from the mess. However, the more Xiao Yunduan wanted to stay low profile, the less he was able to. When countered by Qiao Xian, Qiao Wei had been holding a grudge against her sister and was trying her best to find a way to take revenge for the trap she herself had set. She hated to be talked down to, so she decided to direct her grudge towards Xiao Yunduan. When all the disciples were competing among themselves, only Xiao Yunduan stayed silent. Qiao Wei, of course, did not know that Xiao Yunduan was doing that on purpose. She thought that Xiao Yunduan lacked the knowledge to make any couplets. Therefore, she was going to humiliate this idiot in public. That was like humiliating Qiao Xian. It would make her feel less annoyed. Qiao Wei rolled her eyes, and whispered to her maid, Fendi next to her. The maid turned to Qiao Xian, nodded and went to County Officer Zhang, passing on to him what Qiao Wei had said. County Officer Zhang felt quite embarrassed. He had no idea what was going on inside County Magistrate Qiao's family, but listening to the task assigned, he could tell what was going on for real. He had heard of how Elder Miss normally behaved. The Elder Miss ordered her maid to pass on the message to him that he should come up with a difficult idea for the second Miss husband to make a couplet, so that he could be humiliated. It was such a stupid thing to do. How could he humiliate a county magistrate's son-in-law? The county magistrate would lose his face if his son-in-law was embarrassed. But if he did not obey Elder Miss' order, this narrow-minded woman would tell Madame Qiao, who would ensure that his wife and daughter suffered greatly in the future. Helplessly, County Officer Zhang still decided to do as instructed. He chuckled and turned to Xiao Yunduan. Cultivated talent Xiao, you seem like a talented person, why don't you make a couplet for us to read? Chapter 130 Elder Miss Qiao's request. Everyone was startled. But they did not think that County Officer Zhang was setting up a trap for Xiao Yunduan. Instead, they believed that County Officer Zhang was helping Xiao Yunduan to stand out, so that he could behave well in front of the public. They could not help but feel jealous again. This man had found a huge shelter for himself. Look at him. After he became related to the county magistrate, even the county officer was trying to help him. That was what Xiao Lulang thought as well. He felt more jealous than anyone else. Xiao Lulang threw a look at Xiao Yunduan, but smiled. County officer, my cousin isn't so good at it. What about me doing it in place of him? County Officer Zhang was startled, and Xiao Yunduan fell into silence. He also wished that Xiao Lulang could stand out for him. However, Qiao Wei was not pleased. She said loudly, that doesn't work. You aren't part of our family, you can't replace him. What about you making a couplet instead? Qiao Wei turned to Qiao Xian and smiled. She looked intimidating. Qiao Xian only had a little knowledge about characters, and she had never learned how to write poetry or lyrics, nor had she been taught how to play the zither, chess, or write calligraphy or draw. It would be great to see her humiliated in public. No one dares to utter a sound anymore. That was Elder Miss Qiao's request, which no one dared to counter. Yue Jingxiao couldn't help but snort, but he was very interested in watching the show. Xie Jingrong could not help but glance at Qiao Wei, thinking that this Elder Miss Qiao was so stupid. She had showcased her real intentions. But did she realize that if she humiliated her sister in public, her father would be humiliated too? It seemed that Officer Qiao wasn't so good at governing the family. He was suddenly reminded of another Miss Qiao whom he ran into, and he felt even worse about this family. Officer Qiao's face had sunk. He raised his eyebrows and glared at Madame Qiao. But Madame Qiao did not catch his message, since she was concentrating on something else. Officer Qiao became even more furious. This daughter of his was too spoiled by her mother, so that she had become arrogant and free-willed. Yes, he was the head of a county. Did that mean she could do whatever she wanted? What about when they went back to the capital? This behavior would bring them so much trouble. He had to discipline her when they returned. Madame Qiao was also sighing inside her heart at the moment. She had spoiled her daughter so much that she could not tolerate a thing. She was venting her anger at the moment. She was just thinking about embarrassing Qiao Xian through her husband, just to make her sad, but what about her father? That bitch was also her father's daughter. Madame Qiao knew that her husband would have given her a warning look, but what could she do right now? Her daughter had already spilled out the request, and anything she did would mean a slap on her daughter's face. There was nothing she could do. She had to pretend not to have caught her husband's message. Hearing that Qiao Wei was trying to humiliate Qiao Xian, he got anxious and angry, so he immediately retorted. Wormgrass in front of households, folks cheer for the race of dragon boats. Sorry, I am not that good at it, but here is your order, county officer. I just made one randomly. Under normal circumstances, when Xiao Yunduan was done making the couplet, the whole thing would be over. But Qiao Wei did not want to drop it. She chuckled at Qiao Xian. It is your turn, sister. Make one to cheer everyone up. Chapter 131. Not her. Qiao Xian was rolling her eyes inwardly. You can't even do that yourself, why forcing me? Qiao Wei, who had been spoiled in the family, was not devoted to studies at all. She was no better than Qiao Xian in talent either. But she was the lineal daughter, whilst Qiao Xian was the concubine's daughter, and at the mercy of Qiao Xian. Hence, she could not use the same request to counter her. Otherwise the whole thing would get worse. Qiao Xian turned to her and said without hesitation, "I don't know how to." Qiao Wei was surprised. It was such a straightforward confession made without shame or embarrassment, that Qiao Wei did not know how to react. Women without knowledge are virtuous. "I don't know how to make couplets," Qiao Xian added. She had no idea how to, and she was not good at it either. Qiao Wei just could not say anything to mock her, strike her down or humiliate her in this case. "All right," Madame Qiao smiled and intervened. "Quan Xian is right, women don't need to be good at this. Just drop the topic and watch the race." Yes, watch the race." Officer Qiao let out a sigh of relief and let out a laugh. County Officer Zhang was clever, so he changed the topic directly, followed by all the disciples who continued to watch the race. Finally, the topic was dropped. Qiao Wei threw a glare at Qiao Xian. Her face sank, and she was obviously not convinced. Qiao Xian ignored her. She knew that this sister of hers was so used to being intimidating that she could not change her personality at the moment. But she was very surprised. Her father, who had been dreaming about getting promoted and cared so much about his face, must have noticed the inappropriate behaviors of his daughter. He was surely going to discipline her when they went back home. Yue Shao, who was enjoying the show, could not help but throw a few looks at Qiao Xian. He was both interested and surprised. He had witnessed numerous fights between lineal daughters and concubines' daughters. Elder Miss Qiao was obviously trying to humiliate the second miss and her husband in public, but second miss was so straightforward about her lack of knowledge that Elder Miss Qiao could not do anything about it. Second miss cut down the trouble directly. Almost all the concubines' daughters whom he encountered had always been brought down by the lineal daughters. Second miss of the Qiao family seemed to be quite interesting. This Officer Qiao was even more interesting. He was an officer, and he married this concubine's daughter to an unknown cultivated talent. That cultivated talent was obviously defending his wife, but he did not seem to have a good feeling towards the Qiao family. Yue Shao was a bit confused. He had not expected that there would be such a big show in a county magistrate's family. It was almost lunchtime, and the race came to a good end. Everyone waved goodbye to each other. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan left before everyone else did. "Had I known that we would run into them, I would not have come here. It is my fault." Xiao Yunduan sounded guilty. "I should have known about this before." Qiao Xian was not as angry as before. She smiled and waved her hand. Officer Qiao did not have the interest in watching the show earlier. No one would have predicted that he would be here today. "Oh, I really want to eat glutinous rice dumplings at home and barberries. Let's finish our errands and go home." Xiao Yunduan nodded. "Okay, let's do it." The two of them went to landowners, hoping to see if there were any good fields available to buy. Chapter 132 Super Luck. The landowner smiled. "You are very lucky. Businessman Zhang is in urgent need of money, and he is selling 240 mu of good fields urgently. If you buy them now, you can start to cultivate crops and harvest in autumn. But he is in a big hurry. He needs to have the deal done and paid for in the next 2 days. I was wondering how to contact you, and here you are." Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were both quite happy. Qiao Xian chuckled. "This is our destiny. That good field is meant to be mine." "True." The two of them agreed that the landowner would bring them to have a look at the field the next day, and if they were okay with the deal, they would pay the money and sign the contract right then and there. After they left the landowner, Qiao Xian said to Xiao Yunduan, "Let's write both our names on the deed, okay? We are still in a joint family and the yield has to be shared with the whole family. But if we live separately in the future, we will still continue to share a big portion with our parents and brothers." Xiao Yunduan was startled. It is your field and you should write your own name on the deed. You can share the revenue portion at your will with the family. Mom is a very understanding woman, and she won't want to take advantage of you. Qiao Xian smiled and fell into a good mood. What super luck she had that she ran into a family like this. Her nature had always been like this. When she was treated well, she would pay those who treated her nicely back even better. She was the one who earned the money, but she could not have earned this amount of money alone. A single woman would not get a position for herself, if she had no one to lean on. They were her shelter and bay, and with their help, she was able to do whatever she wanted. They were helping each other. Just listen to my arrangement, please, said Qiao Xian firmly. Xiao Yunduan opened his mouth and wondered what she meant. These were meant to be her private properties. Why would she not keep them separate? Was she not worried that it would be difficult for her to handle it in the future? Or was she saying that she was not going to leave the family? Xiao Yunduan was not certain, and kept speculating on this matter in his head. Okay, you can take that call, they would think about that later. At Mingren Tang, in the backyard, Manager Qin was receiving Xie Jingrong and Yue Jingshao politely. Xie Jingrong was seeking a very difficult medical herb in this county. But he had not yet paid the visit to the best pharmacy in the local area, before Officer Qiao came to his door. At this point, he finally had the chance to conduct his own business. The two sides were just talking, when Yue Jingshao saw an employee craning his head. He smiled. Manager Qin, your employee needs you now. Manager Qin and Xie Jingrong turned to look into the direction of the speaker. The employee could no longer hide himself. He took a step forward and smiled with a greeting. Xie Jingrong nodded at Manager Qin. He said politely, please, Manager Qin. Manager Qin smiled but glared at the employee. They had no secret at the pharmacy, and he could just share the message in front of Xie Jingrong and Yue Jingshao. Just spill it. The employee smiled. Young Master Xiao and Mrs. Xiao are here to fetch the seeds. They are in a hurry to go home, so I came to urge you. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian had the ability of getting such a large quantity of wild honey and Gastrodia alata for the pharmacy, so they were well received at Manager Qin's place. If those things could be well planted, then the pharmacy would have a long-term deal with them. Chapter 133 Exception Manager Qin was startled. He smiled. I almost forgot about that. I will be out there soon. Manager Qin turned to Xie Jingrong and said, Young Master Xie, young Master Xiao and his wife should be of great help for you. They live in the countryside, and often go into the mountains. They have brought numerous good things to us. Xie Jingrong and Yue Jingshao were startled. Since Manager Qin said so, he must have gotten many excellent things from the couple but did not want to share those. Xie Jingrong said, okay, in this case, let's bring them in here. That is exactly what I mean. Manager Qin chuckled and asked his employee to get the couple in. The employee answered and felt emotional. The couple was so lucky as to have come over at the moment. If the couple managed to help young Master Xie with even a small thing, they would have no worries in their future life. No worries ever. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian, who heard that the manager had already got the seeds for them, were so happy that they decided to buy them and leave quickly. In this way, they could take a look in the market, buy some food and go home soon. But the manager had something else in store for them. When they came to the back hall, all four guests were startled. Cultivated Talent Xiao, second miss of Qiao, what are you doing here? Yue Jingshao's eyes widened in surprise. Xiao Yunduan smiled and greeted them. This is quite coincidental. Sorry for the interruption, no, it is no bother. Yue Jingshao smiled. I did not expect that Manager Qin meant you too. Manager Qin could not help but smile as well. Since you are all friends, then we can save a lot of trouble. Please, take your seats. Yes. They exchanged greetings and sat down. Manager Qin started the conversation. Soon, Xiao Yunduan turned speechless. Young Master Xie, you are seeking a Chinese fleece flower root over 500 years old, yes? Xie Jingrong said, I don't know much about this county, so I came to the pharmacy to see if there are any contacts that can be used. Manager Qin suggests that you can help, so please, I would like you to help me, and if the deal is done, I will pay you a great amount as compensation. Pharmacies had their own sources of medical herbs. Some were planted inside the pharmacies, or cultivated by medical farmers or imported by herb businessmen. For ordinary medicinal materials, if a villager got 5 or 4 kgs and sold them in a medical store, they would not accept such small things since they had to process the materials, and the volume would be too small for processing. They would not want to do that. But there was always an exception. If rare medical materials were brought to the door, the pharmacies would accept that readily. Some pharmacies would even entrust experienced old hunters and farmers who knew about the mountains to seek rare things. That was why Xie Jingrong came to Mingrentang. Xie Jingrong was very much respected by people around because he came to the door personally and treated the manager politely, despite being a man from a highly noble family. Xiao Yunduan replied politely. Thanks, young Master Xie, we can definitely help you if we have the chance. But a Chinese fleece flower root over 500 years old can be difficult to find. Xie Jingrong smiled and sighed. I know, just do your best, that would be enough. Chapter 134. Qiao Xian smiled and said to Xiao Yunduan, Darling, Chinese fleece flower root is a very commonly seen thing. Although it isn't available everywhere, it is not so difficult to find. Since you have asked for it, young Master Xie, we will definitely give it our best. It was a favor being sent to the door. It was just a Chinese fleece flower root over 500 years old. They could simply go into the mountains to seek for that with her superpower, one mountain after another. They would always find it. She could even find one which was 300 or 400 years old, and with her superpower, she could urge it to grow faster so the plant became 500 years old. Young Master Xie was a person whom even her father was afraid of. So, he must be a very important figure. She had to cozy up to him who was so powerful. It would be a pity to let go of this chance. Hearing what Qiao Xian said, Xiao Yunduan almost burst out in helplessness. She was lucky, indeed, but she should not be this arrogant. After all, luck was an uncertain thing. It could not be touched or felt. Who could predict what might happen next? But he did not counter her when they were facing outsiders. He was worried, though, that she would say something that could not be realized, so Xiao Yunduan added. Yes, we will surely try, but we can't guarantee a good result. Yuezhing Xiao looked at both of them and then finally at Manager Qin. This couple looked to be quite unreliable. They seemed too indifferent when they spoke about this matter. Manager Qin, however, was very confident about the couple. He added with a smile. Yes, yes, please, young Master Xiao and Madam Xiao. Just go and do the needful. I will be waiting for your good news. By this point, even Xie Jingrong found that they seemed unreliable. He thought that it would always be better if they could entrust Manager Qin to find some other helpers as well. There were many mountains in the county and the possibility seemed relatively small of just 2 people finding the requisite route. We will, said Xiao Yunduan as he got up, saying goodbye to them. Manager Qin did not keep them, but asked his employees to open the door to fetch the seeds of Noto ginseng and false starwort for them. Qiao Xian looked at Xie Jingrong and Yuezhing Xiao, not knowing what to say. Manager Qin did not know about her and County Magistrate Qiao's relationship, and she did not want more people to know about this, which might cause trouble. She wondered if these 2 people would spill out her real identity. Yuezhing Xiao noticed her behavior and smiled. Anything you would like to say, Madam Xiao? Qiao Xian smiled. Should we deliver Chinese fleece flower roots to Mingrentang directly? Xie Jingrong answered. Yes. Okay. Qiao Xian nodded and said, me and my husband are just common, ordinary villagers in the mountains, and we have no strong background behind us, nor do we know much about what is going on around, but we know what is in the mountains, so we will try our best to find it. Xiao Yunduan instantly understood what Qiao Xian meant. He added frankly. Yes, so please wait for our message patiently, and if the deal fails, please forgive us, that is all. Xie Jingrong and Yue Jingxiao were both smart men. They thought for a while and eventually understood what the couple meant. Yue Jingxiao laughed involuntarily. No worries. Chapter 135. An image. Yue Jingxiao got even more curious. What was going on with County Magistrate Qiao's family? Manager Qin was not aware of Second Miss' real identity. This second miss did not seem to care about being married to a farmer's family, and even offered to look for Chinese fleece flower roots. Could she be the county magistrate's real daughter? Or was she raised in the countryside? Could she really do it? Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan let out a sigh of relief, leaving directly. Darling, this is a great opportunity, let's go and buy some food to celebrate. Qiao Xian was very happy. Xiao Yunduan did not want to discourage her, so he nodded. Yes, let's just try our best. If the deal was accomplished, it would be a huge favor they would have done for the powerful people. If not, they would have to accept it frankly. They could not be afraid of being defeated, otherwise they would be very sad if they failed. They needed to stay calm. Qiao Xian bought pork belly, ribs, 2 fat ducks, a roast chicken, some snacks, and head flowers for Tao Tao and Xiao Qing. When she was done shopping, she started to head home with Xiao Yunduan. At Mingrentang, Xie Jingrong still asked Manager Qin to entrust several more hunters and experienced veterans in the mountains for help, before leaving with Yue Jingxiao. Yue Jingxiao could not help but laugh. Officer Qiao's family is quite interesting. Look at that second miss, she is more than ordinary. Then he laughed as well. Honestly, I have never met any concubine's daughter like her. Xie Jingrong frowned slightly as he turned to him. The Qiao family isn't a family with integrity, let's just drop it. But the second miss seems quite different. Not that he really cared how she was. He was definitely going to return her favor, if she was able to find Chinese fleece flower root over 500 years old. That was all he could do, since he was not interested in the Qiao family. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan traveled home leisurely on his bullock cart. The cart moved very slowly. While they were on the cart, they could notice what was going on around them. When they found a tall, young man lying in a coma in the grass on the roadside, they could not help but stop, exchanging a look between themselves. Hang here, let me go and have a look, Xiao Yunduan said. Let me go with you. Okay. The couple wanted to save people. Otherwise they would feel really uncomfortable afterwards, and would never be able to get over the lump. Qiao Xian went down the cart and wondered what happened to the man. Xiao Yunduan came to the man's side, felt his nose and sighed in relief. He is still breathing, he should be fine. Come, help me pick him up. Okay. The couple spared no effort to help this tall man up. He was leaning against Xiao Yunduan. Suddenly, Qiao Xian felt stiffened, and started to turn dizzy. In front of her eyes, like a revolving lantern, a fragmented but clear picture appeared. In the desert and yellow sand, the flags and banners were floating in the wind, the generals looked majestic and there were thousands of troops behind them. The general returned triumphantly, and when he entered the city, the crowd was surging, and the people and officials shouted loudly. In the Golden Throne Hall, the old emperor laughed heartily. He conferred the title and rewarded the general. There were about 10 pictures, each of which was not connected, but the general in each picture was the same person, and the appearance of that person closely resembled the man in front of them. Actually, they were the same person. Chapter 136. What to see. What was going on? Qiao Xian was almost dumbfounded. What on earth had she seen? The future of this man? Or maybe the past? Qiao Xian shook herself out of her stupor. Suddenly, she was very motivated to save him. At this moment, Xiao Yunduan let out a low cry. He has wounds on his back and thighs. Let's help him bandage that. Okay. Neither of them were professional medical people. Moreover, this man was not only wounded but also starved. So, when the couple was done bandaging him, they fed him water, before he slowly woke up. They fed him almost 250 grams of snacks slowly. His mind became clear, gradually. Who are you? Xiao Yunduan replied calmly. We were passing by and saw you in a coma. How are you feeling now? Better. Startled, the man greeted the couple. Thank you for saving my life. It is okay. Xiao Yunduan could not accept such a big gesture, but waved his hands and said, we were just passing by, not a big deal. Where is your home? We will drop you there. Home. The man looked confused and miserable. He had no home. He left home when he was much younger, full of ambition, always thinking that he could make a name for himself but eventually ended up gaining nothing. After a few years of wandering, he returned, but by then, his parents were dead. His uncle had taken hold of the properties and insisted that he had committed a crime outside. So he got irritated and hit them. The others couldn't help but rush up and took the opportunity to beat him fiercely, before locking him up in the woodshed. He had no idea how they were going to deal with him, but he knew that it was not going to be good. After being in the woodshed for 3 days, he managed to escape but ended up passing out here on the spot in pain and starvation. Unexpectedly, he was saved by 2 kind-hearted people. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, there were good people in this world. He was no longer so angry at the sight of this couple in front of him. Thanks, but it is fine, you can leave me here. He originally wanted to say that if there was a chance in the future, he would definitely repay them, but then he thought about it, and realized that he had gotten to this point. What was his future? What could he do in return? It all seemed so ridiculous. He laughed self-mockingly. Anyway, thanks very much for saving me. You will definitely have a great fortune in the future. Qiao Xian was not going to let go of this opportunity. Immediately, she handed the roast chicken and a packet of dim sum to the man, and said with a smile, if that's the case, we will just leave. Our village is not close by, so we should go back. The man nodded. Please. The man had woken up and he should be fine, so Xiao Yunduan greeted him and left with Qiao Xian. The 2 of them went back to the bullock cart and continued on their journey. They could not help but exchange a few emotional words. The man saw them off, until they disappeared out of sight. He struggled back on his feet, and went to an isolated place. He was starved and needed to regain energy before he could do anything else. He opened the paper that was supposed to hold roasted chicken, but his eyes suddenly widened. In one of the layers, there were almost 2 liang in change as well as 1 well-folded note of 50 liang. No one would have put the money in this place accidentally. They must have given the money to him on purpose. He was so messy looking and homeless. They must be trying to help him out. The man could not help but feel like crying, as he held the money and food in his arms. Chapter 137. An idea, shouting village, he mumbled inside his heart. He swore that he was definitely going to become someone accomplished in the future. At that time, he would return the favor and more importantly, take his revenge. He was not going to live the rest of his life as a useless person. When Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were back home, the glutinous dumplings were already steaming. The dumplings were put in a large iron pot, covered with a heavy wooden lid, and cooked on the stove. Some of the steam was escaping the lid, spreading the aroma of fresh grass and leaves in the whole room. It was festival time and everyone was craving the dumplings, which were eaten only once a year. They did not even eat lunch, and instead waited for the dumplings. Seeing them returning, Miss Fang opened the lid and scooped out some large ones for them to eat. Meat dumplings, pork ribs dumplings, bean dumplings, 8 treasure dumplings, and alkaline water dumplings were marked when they were being wrapped. The length and number of straw cores in each kind of dumpling were different, so it was easy to distinguish. Xiao Taotao and Qiao Xian helped open the dumplings. The dumplings were cut into pieces with the straw core that bound them, before they were placed on the plate. The shining dumplings looked beautiful and smooth in appearance, and when they were twisted open, the aroma of rice, meat, or sweetness inside was mouth-watering and attractive. The meat dumplings smell so great. I want meat dumplings too, they look so delicious. Ms. Fang smiled. All right, we have a large number of them. Eat as many as you want. She had money and could afford to make those dumplings. It was a festival and they should all be happy during this period. Long strips of pork belly and large ribs had been marinated with 5-spice powder, soy sauce, shredded ginger, green onion, cooking wine, etc. last night. They were wrapped in the dumplings and boiled for nearly 2 hours. The bones could be easily broken in one bite. Mixed with the fragrance of glutinous rice soaked and boiled in alkaline water, the dumplings were really delicious. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, they had never eaten meat dumplings before. This year's food was really sumptuous. After the glutinous dumplings, they ate a few fresh bayberries and loquats to relieve tiredness, which was perfect. Among the fruit trees transplanted in Qiao Xian's garden, the bayberry, loquat, and plum did not fall out. A lot of them were left on the tree. They were now ripe, so Qiao Xian brought a few young ones to the yard to pick the fruits. It was a lively scene. Everyone was amazed, saying that it was not a wasteland. It was obviously a treasure land. Not only was the sweet spring water dug up, but also the fruit trees and Gastrodia alata were growing very well. The fruits tasted so sweet. At night, Qiao Xian cooked the food. She had pickles at home, and really wanted to make a bowl of pickled fish today, so she took Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao to go fishing in the river in the afternoon. They held fishing poles in their hands, which were brought by Xiao Sanlang from somewhere. Xiao Yunduan also went fishing with them. Xiao Sanlang came back with a fishing rod 2 days ago and had been shouting ever since to go fishing with them. But when the time came, he was nowhere to be seen. Where is third brother? He was here just a while ago. Xiao Xiaoqi was confused. Xiao Taotao shook her head, looking bemused as well. Qiao Xian thought for a while and burst into laughter. She said to Xiao Yunduan, I have an idea. Xiao Yunduan was startled and smiled. Just leave him alone. He would be very careful about it. Yes. Qiao Xian nodded with a smile. Let's go. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao were confused about what was happening, but were extremely motivated to go fishing. We are going fishing. It was all right even if third brother wasn't with them. Chapter 138. Laughing third brother had stolen 3 meat dumplings, wrapped them in leaves randomly and gone to find his wife-to-be, Yang Xiaoni. It was a festival but Yang Xiaoni still needed to work. She was out in the mountains, chopping wood. Normally, the bride-to-be should be resting at home, sorting her dowry and everything. She should be very busy with all that. Unfortunately, Yang Xiaoni was not treated in this way. But she was glad that soon, she would not need to do anything like this anymore. When Xiao Sanlang found her, she was eating wild fruits in the mountains. Brother Sanlang. Yang Xiaoni cheered as she saw Xiao Sanlang. Xiao Sanlang looked up and saw her, laughing along the side. He rushed to her. The two of them sneaked into the forests by default. This way they could not be discovered so easily. The same mistake could not be made twice. Young Xiaoni sniffed and her eyes sparkled. It smells so good. Third brother, what have you brought for me? Xiao Sanlang gazed at her proudly. Just guess. Young Xiaoni sniffed again. Ah, it is glutinous dumplings. Yes. It is made by fifth sister-in-law. There is pork belly and ribs filling inside. It is delicious, I have brought you 3. Really? I am going to have a good taste of it. Young Xiaoni rubbed her hands, and could not wait and took a bite when Xiao Sanlang opened it for her. The dumplings were bursting with fillings. Every bite would reach the meat. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, the fragrant glutinous rice dumplings and the fragrant and soft meat of the dumplings were blended together very well. The aroma was tangy, and it was so delicious after the first bite, that one could not wait to swallow a piece of the tongue also alongside. It is really yummy. Young Xiaoni's eyes sparkled. She was obsessed and just could not stop eating them. Xiao Sanlang felt very pleased. What did I tell you? When you move in, you will know how well my fifth sister-in-law cooks. She is like no one else. Young Xiaoni agreed and looked expectant. I have never eaten a dumpling as good as this. Our fifth sister-in-law is so good at cooking. I wish I could move in with you directly. I will treat fifth sister-in-law well in the future. Xiao Sanlang smiled. It is happening soon. I am counting the days, only 15 days left. Yes. They laughed at each other happily. Satisfied by the meat dumplings, young Xiaoni held one in her arms and they continued to talk for some more time, before they separated at the entrance of the Yang family. They unwillingly waved each other goodbye. Miss Tian came and glared at young Xiaoni the moment she arrived home. Young Xiaoni saw that this woman was throwing temper again. She put down the chopped wood and dashed off before Miss Tian could say a word. She had already eaten 2 glutinous rice dumplings and held one in her arms for dinner, so she did not have to eat with them. You bitch, being lazy all the time, stupid and lazy, no food for you. Miss Tian was still cursing her when she left. Miss Tian cursed at Yang Liang when returned. Then she started to curse the whole Xiao family. Chapter 139. His own reasons. It is a festival. Look at the Xiao family, they have given us nothing this time around. They don't treat us seriously. They won't spare a look at us in the future, forget before the girl marries the family. That was why Miss Tian was extra unfriendly to Yang Xiaoni today. She had assumed that the Xiao family would offer them some gifts at festivals, since the wedding was to be hosted in no time. She even looked forward to receiving glutinous dumplings and eggs from the Xiao family, as well as 2 chickens. They were waiting from morning to the evening, but received nothing. Miss Tian was really annoyed. Yang Liang, who never had any opinion for himself, got furious after hearing the instigating words from Miss Tian. I told you that this marriage would not work. The Xiao family is looking down at us. Now you know that they are not going to regard us as part of their family. Yang Liang got even angrier. It is settled. They have spent so much on the wedding gift. Do you think they will break off the engagement? Just keep your mouth shut, no more nonsense. Miss Tian had not expected that he would counter her in this way. She screamed. How dare you counter me? Yang Liang. The couple had a row with each other. The neighbors could not help but sigh, hearing their arguments. The Xiao family would definitely not go to the second section of the family for dinner. Eldest uncle had to go there alone, since Miss Fong refused to follow along. He had his own reasons. Yes, his sister-in-laws had been at fault, but they had realized their mistakes already, right? Since they already knew about it, and offered dinner at their place, why not give them a chance to repent? What more did they expect them to do, when they apologized? They were all a family, and could not possibly be treated like criminals after just one mistake, right? That would be ruthless. But Miss Fong was in the midst of being angry, so eldest uncle could do nothing but leave her alone. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Eldest uncle asked Xiao Sanlang and Xiao Dalong to follow him for dinner. But Xiao Dalong hesitated, whilst Xiao Sanlang snapped directly. I am not going. Fifth sister-in-law is cooking delicious dishes tonight and I am definitely eating at home. Could second aunt-in-law's food exceed that of fifth sister-in-law's? Fifth sister-in-law was going to make a huge feast for the family. He had been looking forward to this dinner for days. Eldest uncle got so stuck, dumbass. He knew nothing except for food. Could he do anything else apart from that? Eldest uncle glared at Xiao Sanlang. Second aunt-in-law is killing chickens, why not go there? You are old enough to understand etiquette. Xiao Sanlang was straightforward as always. We have no chicken tonight, but we have ducks, ribs, pork belly, fish and shrimps. You. Eldest uncle glared at him. Eating is the only thing you know. Xiao Sanlang laughed and scratched his head. That is true, Dad. He was so blatant about it. Eldest uncle. This boy was trying to irritate him to death. Miss Fong wanted to laugh but could not. She held a tight face. So what? Good that he loves eating. You can go there alone, don't try to drag us with you. Eldest uncle snorted and ignored her. Yes, he was going alone, so what? He was going now. Angry, eldest uncle left home directly. Chapter 140 Festival. The whole family let out a sigh of relief, and they went all out to make preparations for the dinner. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan decided to get a big fish in the afternoon, so Xiao Xiaoqi took them to a relatively isolated and deep water area of the river. There was one section where long and many seaweeds were growing. Xiao Tao Tao as well as Xiao Xiaoqi were fishing shrimps using a net whilst Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were fishing on the bank. Qiao Xian looked calm, but actually, she could not do anything. With her superpower, she was able to see endless fish in the seaweeds, but that did not help. They were not able to catch any of it. Luckily, there were enough fish and shrimps in the river, and they harvested a lot. Half a basket of shrimps plus half a barrel of small fish as well as more than 30 large, green, finger-sized shrimps were taken back. They got several crucian carp about the size of a palm, as well as 2 grass carp more than a foot long, along with 5 long large eels. What pleased Qiao Xian above all was that they also managed to catch a palm-sized wild mandarin fish. They killed the duck for dinner, cut tender ginger into pieces, stir-fried chili and garlic cloves, added rice wine, soy sauce and other seasonings, as well as water. The whole thing was simmered over high heat. In this way, the fresh, spicy and fragrant taste quickly permeated the entire kitchen. They steamed mandarin fish, and fried prawns in oil. The 2 grass carps were used to make pickled fish, whilst finger-sized, small fish were wrapped in egg batter and then fried. A few dishes plus a bowl of braised pork, vegetarian fried yam, and shredded cabbage were served. A sumptuous feast was laid out. The fish that could not be eaten up were kept in a large water tank in the backyard. Qiao Xian put some water plants in the water tank. She could use the water plants to send her superpower into the water, so that these fish could stay alive for almost half a year. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Small river shrimps were not easy to raise, so they were roasted and dried. They could fry fresh leeks with it, or peppers, or even eggs. They could even make shrimp cakes with eggs the following day. When Qiao Xian was cooking, the mandarin fish was steamed on the stove. The small fish was fried first, then the 2 stoves were busy with the duck and pickled fish. Then she quickly braised the pork that was made in the pot, and fried the shrimp in oil. After that, she stir-fried 2 vegetarian dishes. All the dishes were still piping hot when they were brought to the table. A large table of good dishes with aromatic flavors made the family drool. The pickled fish and ginger ducks were the most popular dishes. Everyone enjoyed them the most. They never expected that fish and pickles could be so good together, whilst the duck meat smelled so fresh and spicy without any strange taste. They could say nothing but praise their fifth sister-in-law. They turned to look at Xiao Yunduan in jealousy. They all lamented that Xiao Yunduan was the luckiest one, since he was the only person who could eat the dish made by fifth sister-in-law throughout his life. The steamed mandarin fish was disliked at first. The family always thought it looked too strange and might have no taste. Qiao Xian, however, urged everyone to have a taste of it. When they finally tried the first bite, they got attracted to the incomparable fresh dish. On the other hand, second uncle and Miss Niu as well as the others greeted eldest uncle happily the moment he arrived. Eldest uncle felt so gratified and guilty, thinking that his second brother's family were so sincere, but Miss Fong still refused to forgive them. However, second uncle and Miss Niu exchanged a look between themselves, looking very proud. See? They knew that an apology would work. They could do whatever they wanted in the future. They knew that eldest brother would get soft-hearted. Ms. Niu went to fetch Ms. Ma and third uncle's family to join them. Ms. Ma was helping with the cooking whilst third uncle was chit-chatting with eldest uncle. Chapter 141 Family. The two sections of the family had sensed that they were not in a good place as before. Miss Fong was annoying, and more domineering than before. Moreover, Qiao Xian had joined her. They kept bitching about her mistake. They tried to console eldest brother and even flattered him. Eldest brother was the master of the family. As long as he was well manipulated by them, everything else would be solved easily. It was just a matter of time. Eldest uncle felt so moved when he saw how his brothers, nieces and nephews were chatting with him. They were so nice to him. They were his family. He had treated them well these past few years and it was all worth the while. Their parents would be gratified in heaven as well. He had lived up to their parents' standards. In the kitchen, Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma were quite distracted. Ms. Ma could not help but look outside the kitchen, mumbling. What are eldest sister-in-law and everyone else doing? What is keeping them for so long? True, they all believed that the eldest section of the family would definitely be here, with eldest uncle coming over first, and the others following later. Ms. Niu was quite displeased as well. She knew exactly what Ms. Ma meant. When Ms. Fong and Ms. Su were here, they would definitely help in cooking. Also, eldest brother treated them well, and would always come with some gifts, like a chicken, for example. Ms. Niu even expected to wait until Ms. Fong arrived to kill the chicken. A while later, Ms. Ma could not stand the wait anymore. What on earth is taking them so long? Xiaoji, Meiling, go and check on them. Tell them to be here as soon as possible. Just wait. Ms. Niu stopped her. Let's just hold on. We can kill the chicken and make the food. We will fetch them when dinner is served. Ms. Ma was startled. Ms. Niu really started to think that she was stupid. She snapped. Haven't you got it? Eldest sister-in-law is so annoyed by us that she wants to postpone her arrival. Just drop it, we can make some dishes as we want. Ms. Ma nodded. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, that was exactly what Miss Fong would have done. She is so stingy. We have apologized and made dinner, what more does she want? Should we kneel down and kowtow to her? Ms. Niu rolled her eyes. What else can we do? Ms. Ma was stuck with words. Yeah, what else could they do? All right. It was their own fault that they were caught red-handed. They had to be tolerant at the moment. It was widow's son, the bitch's fault. But for her big mouth, nothing like this would have happened. That bitch needed to be punished. So, Ms. Nyo and Ms. Ma dropped the idea of fetching Ms. Fong at the moment, and pretended to make dishes with full sincerity. Ms. Nyo, against her will, killed one of her chickens, whilst Ms. Ma brought 12 eggs as well as some vegetables from her house. They made the dinner without putting any oil or salt in it. When dishes were served on the table, Ms. Nyo smiled. Eldest brother, the dishes are ready. What are eldest sister-in-law and the others doing? Yes, we are all waiting for them. Ms. Ma added with a smile. Eldest uncle's face stiffened. It is fine, we can wait a little longer. Miling, Xiaoji, go and fetch them, okay? Second uncle made a gesture and let them leave. Eldest uncle was about to stop them, when he suddenly realized that maybe these two children would be able to move Miss Fong. Chapter 142 Embarrassment. Xiao Xiaoji and Xiao Miling were not very happy to go when they saw the dishes on the table, but they had to agree to the instructions given. At the eldest section of the Xiao family, they were already done with food, and were just cleaning up the table. When Xiao Xiaoji and Xiao Miling entered the room, Xiao Taotao was carrying the last bowls into the kitchen. Xiao Miling and Xiao Xiaoji did not see what the feast was like, but looking at the happy expression on the whole family's faces as well as the layers of bowls which Xiao Taotao had carried away, along with the remaining smell in the air, they could tell that the dinner must have been abundantly tasty. Eldest aunt, my parents asked me to take you there for dinner, but you seem to have eaten already. These two girls were not well-mannered since they were taught by their parents. Miss Fong did not want to throw temper at them, and said smilingly, yes, there are so many of us here, so we aren't going over. We have eaten dinner. You can go home to eat yours. Xiao Miling nodded and left with Xiao Xiaoji. Dad, eldest aunt and the others already ate. They had already finished and the table was getting cleaned. The table was full of dishes. Xiao Miling pursed her lips. They were all startled. What? Eaten already? Second uncle and the others turned to eldest uncle. Eldest uncle's sweat dropped from his forehead. He was so embarrassed that he wanted to dig a pit in the ground and disappear. Oh yes, let's just forget them, it is their bad luck not to have eaten dinner here, let's just eat our food. Eldest brother. Third uncle sighed in disappointment. Is she still mad? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Ms. Ma pursed her lips. Yes, otherwise what is she behaving like this for? She could have just carried the dishes here and we could have celebrated together. Second uncle sighed too. Eldest brother, when will eldest sister stop this behavior? It is such a small matter. We have already apologized. Is she going to cut ties with us just because of that thing? Of course not. Eldest uncle denied directly, as he forced out a smile. We can leave her alone. You know her well, right? She is sharp in tongue but soft in heart. She should forget about this soon. Since the guests were absent, second uncle and the others could do nothing but start the dinner. At the dinner table, they kept showing passion to eldest uncle, who was so moved. The following morning after breakfast, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan told Miss Fong about buying fields, before heading towards the town. The crops were budding, and farmers had started plowing the fields and planting rice seedlings. Every household was very busy. Qiao Xian had to postpone the planting of mushrooms. When the busiest period was finished, and the wedding of Xiao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni was done, she could come and get the mushrooms. But she could start to make lipsticks. Also, she could also start the planting of medical herbs. With her superpower, she could always make sure that the plants grew well from the seedlings. Those gastrodia in the garden were growing unbelievably well. The watermelons were as big as small fists, round and green, spread all over the land. They looked really tempting. Wild grapes were all over the stack, creating a large shelter whilst small grapes started to bloom and fruits were growing out. The loquats, plums, and bayberries were also turning ripe, but Qiao Xian intentionally controlled the growth so that they could stay on the branches for at least one more month. Chapter 143 Arrival. The couple came to the town and visited the Zhang village with the landowner to check out the field. Zhang village was located in the east outskirts of the county, almost 10 miles away from the town, closer to the county compared to the Shouting village. It was a really good area of more than 240 mu gold fields. Since they needed cash urgently, and the seller did not want to split them, very few families were able to pay in cash at one go, so Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian bought the whole thing at a low price. Qiao Xian was very satisfied, so she made the deal right there and then. The field was sold at 7 liang 1 mu, which should be 1,680 liang for the 240 mu in total. Qiao Xian bought another 5 mu of drought field at 20 liang, where she intended to build a small yard for future residents. Therefore, 1,700 liang was spent in one go. They had around 200 liang left from selling Gastrodia alata after this. When the fields were bought, the tenants were available. But Qiao Xian did not want to reveal her identity, so she did not meet the tenants, but entrusted Zhang Chunlai and Zhang Xiaofeng with this matter. They were the chiefs, and Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan believed that they were down-to-earth farmers. So the task was delegated to them. Tenants were very afraid that when the landlords changed, the rent would be raised, but when they realized that everything was the same, they were assured in heart. The Zhang village was located on a relatively flat field, where a large patch of land was spread across the distance. There were also some beautiful dikes and creeks. Qiao Xian decided to have a look around since they were here. Xiao Yunduan kept her company. They climbed the mountain, and saw the river flowing across the beautiful landscape. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. It was May, the trees were shady and the vines were entwined. It was not as beautiful as the blooming flowers in spring, but there were still many wildflowers swaying on the banks of the river and the forest road, embellishing it in a deep and shallow shade of green. The mountain scenery was so outstanding that as they were walking in the middle, they felt relaxed and happy. Qiao Xian had been to many mountains, but it was all for work. This was the first time when they were having fun in the mountains, thus, both of them were overjoyed. Seeing her happy smile, Xiao Yunduan could not help but feel happy too. They intended to climb up to the top of the mountain. Xiao Yunduan and his fellows had been to this spot, so they knew that there was one pavilion on the top as well as a hole. Qiao Xian became interested in visiting the spot when she heard about this. However, as they reached half of the mountain, the couple ran into Xia Jingrong and Yue Jingshao as well as their 4 followers. Both sides were startled. Yue Jingshao smiled. Young Master Xiao, second miss, what a coincidence. Qiao Xian let out a small cough. What a coincidence, you are having a good time, aren't you? They were almost considered to be friends, so they greeted each other politely. All of them were heading towards the top of the mountain, so they had no choice but to walk together. Yue Jingshao could not help but ask. Are you here seeking Chinese fleece flower root? But the village is just next to the mountain, where a Chinese fleece flower root over 500 years old might not be found, right? Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan exchanged an embarrassed look between themselves, as he said the words. They were not here for Chinese fleece flower root. They were here for fun. Yue Jingshao might not have noticed it, but Xia Jingrong had understood the point. Of course the couple was not here for herbs. They were not equipped with the right tools. They must be here for fun. They had just expressed their willingness to help them to find Chinese fleece flower root, but here they were strolling around, which made Xia Jingrong feel displeased. He believed that the couple was not sticking to the promise, nor were they reliable. Chapter 144 Dumbfounded. Qiao Xian shook her head but smiled. We were just doing some business in the village nearby, but I heard that the scenery here is very good, so we came to take a look at it. It is very unlikely that we can find Chinese fleece flower roots over 500 years old in this place. We would seek that somewhere else. Don't worry, it is very likely to find it in the deep mountains. Only now did Xiao realize that he must have not asked the right question. He could not help but complain inwardly. This couple was indeed open-minded. How could they find a Chinese fleece flower root over 500 years old so easily? What were they doing here, after they made the promise to them? Moreover, they were caught red-handed by Brother Xia. What bad luck! He was a cultivated talent, and she was the daughter of the county magistrate. They should have the idea of who the Xia family was, right? Why were they letting go of the opportunity of doing them a favor? Xiao shook his head inwardly, but he did not want to show it. So he chuckled dryly. That is true. The scenery here is indeed beautiful, let's visit the place together. But Qiao Xian paused. I think that it is going to rain soon, so we are not going up. I suggest you two walk downhill as well. There was another change that happened to her superpower the day before. She could not only see the past and future of the strange man, but it led to another good function. The humidity and temperature in the air were all related to the vegetation, so when she took a deep breath just now, she vaguely smelled something strange. When she concentrated carefully and then inhaled again to distinguish, she could feel the humidity brought by the mountain wind, and the breath of rain. It was going to rain soon. This new superpower of hers was still weak, and the range was not wide, hence the prediction period was not completely accurate. But she could easily confirm that it was going to rain soon. Xiao subconsciously looked at the sky, hearing what Qiao Xian said. It was sunny everywhere, how could it be raining anytime soon? Oh, she must be trying to find one excuse to get rid of them. Well, they were not friends, and, worse, were caught red-handed for being lazy. The couple must be feeling rather uncomfortable inside their hearts. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Even Xiao Yunduan believed so. He did not know what to say. The excuse his wife found was just too unreliable. But he nodded at the excuse and helped her anyway. Xiao Yunduan added. True, the weather keeps changing after the Dragon Boat Festival, and it is going to rain soon, maybe. We will take your leave now, and you two better go downhill as well. Alright then, see you. Bye. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan went down the hill together. Qiao Xian admired her husband's excuse. She had her superpower that helped her to cheat, but what about her husband? Did he read so much so that he could predict the weather as well? The couple had just walked into the village, when the rain came down heavily. The couple found a farmer's family for shelter. Good that we ran off the mountain fast enough. Qiao Xian stuck out her tongue. Otherwise she had no extra clothes to wear. Yes, Xiao Yunduan was dumbfounded. So his wife was not coming up with an excuse. She really sensed the rain. He asked involuntarily. How did you know that it was going to rain soon? Qiao Xian was startled. You sensed that too, right? I saw the heavy cloud in the sky far away. Chapter 145. Guilty. Qiao Xian felt a bit guilty. She believed that it was because of Xiao Yunduan's rich knowledge that he could forecast the weather, but he was just wondering how she could tell the change of weather at the moment. He could not have remembered that there was no heavy cloud in the sky, all this while, right? Sure enough, Xiao Yunduan did not remember, nor did he think of it deeply. He smiled. Oh, that is right, you are a very careful person. Qiao Xian laughed. Of course, she was. But it reminded her of one thing. She should be careful when using the superpower, and could just put it at bay, when she did not have to use it. Once or twice would be enough, too many times might cause suspicion, and lead to nothing good. The rain was pouring, and soon the drapery of clouds covered the whole sky. The couple were waiting, without knowing what to do. The rain came too fast, but it left fast too. Soon it would stop. But before the rain ended, two unexpected guests, namely Xiao and Xie Jingrong, arrived there. The two of them were soaked thoroughly. Their hair and clothes were all wet. They were in a total mess. The four of them got startled as they ran into each other again. Qiao smiled. Young Master Xia, second miss, we are bound together, aren't we? Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan. Oh well. The two of them exchanged some greetings, and Xiao Yunduan added. Just tidy up and don't get cold. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Qiao Xian even asked the mistress of the house to boil a bowl of hot ginger soup. Qiao wiped away his face and smiled. It is fine, our servants are fetching the clean clothes. They will be here soon. Their wagon was parked outside the village, which was a bit far away from here. The road wasn't flat, and the rain was so heavy. These two young masters had never been through any bitterness, so they had no choice but to find a house to take shelter whilst their servants went to get the wagon. Qiao sighed regretfully. We should have listened to your advice and followed you downhill. It is raining. But second miss, how did you know that it was going to rain soon? It was so sunny just a while ago. Xiao's eyes widened. He was really curious. He had found Qiao Xian's words ridiculous when he saw the good weather. He had thought that Qiao Xian and her husband must be thinking of an excuse to stay away from them. However, she had been telling the truth. Qiao Xian lied as she smiled. I saw heavy clouds in the sky. Xia Jingrong looked at her. But there did not seem to be heavy clouds in the sky. He used the word seem, but he sounded resolute. Qiao Xian was startled, so was Xiao. Xiao Yunduan wasn't happy at the moment. His wife never lied. And why did she have to lie anyway? Young Master Xia was so arrogant. Xiao Yunduan added without hesitation. There were dark clouds in the sky. Qiao Xian nodded and sounded innocent. There were. Xia Jingrong raised his eyebrows. He had always had a good memory and could never forget things after one glance. He remembered clearly that there was no heavy cloud in the sky, but could he have been wrong? Seeing the resolute look on the couple, Xia Jingrong could not help but feel unsure. Chapter 146. No need. Xiao laughed as he looked at him. Oh, all right, no wonder this happened. Young Master Xia never forgot whatever he saw, and he never made mistakes in remembering things. Xiao was thinking in a mocking way. Qiao Xian smiled. I should have reminded you more urgently. Oh, here is the ginger soup, drink it to drive away the coldness. The rain is just so torrential. Qiao Xian let out a sigh of relief, and felt lucky to have ended the topic. Xia Jingrong and Xiao expressed their gratitude to the farmer and accepted the ginger soup. They should not get cold. Though the ginger soup tasted bad, they still took it and drank it. The farmer had never spoken with any noble, handsome young master, so she was startled by their gratitude. She got startled and staggered, and finally ran away in a hurry. Xiao Yunduan said to Qiao Xian. Drink some ginger soup too, I will get you some. No. Qiao Xian took hold of him and whispered. I don't like the taste, I don't want it. But look at the weather, no. She spoke in a coquettish tone, which made Xiao Yunduan's heart throb. He flushed slightly and dropped the topic. She was healthy, and had never complained about being tired after so many visits to the mountains. She should be well. Soon, Xiao's servants arrived. They came with a well-wrapped clothes bag, but not a wagon. The wagon had fallen into a water pit, and was broken. Now they had to wait until the rain stopped, so someone could come and fix the wagon. There was nothing else they could do at the moment. The rain was slowing down and it should be over soon. But the road to town was very far away. Qiao Xian smiled. It is lunchtime, if you want, I can borrow the farmer's kitchen to make some casual food, what do you think? Yue Xiao was startled. Second miss, you know how to cook. Qiao Xian chuckled as she raised her eyebrows. It is just cooking, right? Yue Xiao laughed and said to her happily, sure, then, thanks, second miss, we are really starving. Qiao Xian smiled. So are we. I will just make some casual food since I will be using the farmer's kitchen. You can change your clothes till then and wait. I will be done soon. Qiao Xian told them and dragged Xiao Yunduan inside to give her a hand. Xiao Yunduan had no opinion and followed her into the kitchen. Yue Xiao found the whole scene so rare. He said to Xie Jingrong happily, second miss is so interesting, so is cultivated talent Xiao. He is willing to cook food with his wife. How did second miss manage to make him so obedient? Xie Jingrong glanced at him. Just drop it. Making him so obedient. That was not a very polite phrase to use. Yue Xiao chuckled and stopped. In the kitchen, Xiao Yunduan could not help but say. Are you really making food for them? She did not have to. Xiao Yunduan wasn't pleased. Why must his wife make food for those two? Qiao Xian patted his hands and smiled. We are starving too, right? And the farmer is helping us, it should be done quickly. I can help you as well, just tell me what to do. He knew that when she was making food at home, washing and cutting vegetables as well as dishing were all done by his elder sister-in-law as well as Tao Tao. She had never done such work before. She was a nobly born daughter, and did not know how to do all of these. Chapter 147 Offering Qiao Xian agreed to his offer and then spoke to the farmer lady regarding the ingredients. After the discussion, she laughed and gave 3 qian to the lady. The lady gave 30 yuan to the neighbors and told them to do something, so 2 children around the age of 12 went out. The farmer lady killed 1 rooster after she returned, and according to the instruction of Qiao Xian, she pulled out garlic sprouts, shallots, picked cabbages, as well as eggplants. By the time the chicken was dehaired, cut into pieces, boiled, and all kinds of vegetables and seasonings were getting ready, the 2 neighboring children came back. They had 3 eels with them. Under this weather, the water in the ditch was rising, and the loaches and eels were seen everywhere, easy for them to catch. The 2 children had gone to the ditch to catch eels. Apart from eels, they had a dozen loaches and offered them as a present. Those things were not worth any money. They only used them to feed chickens and ducks. But Qiao Xian loved them. She had many ways of making loaches, but due to the lack of seasonings at the lattice home, all she could do was to wrap them with egg porridge and pan-fried them. With the help of the lady and Xiao Yunduan, the lunch was ready within no time. The dishes included roasted chicken with eels, pan-fried loaches, eggplant with garlic, shredded cabbages, fried egg with shallots, plus a big bowl of light cabbage soup. The lady was very concerned about the way Qiao Xian cooked, and was dumbfounded too. But thinking of the 300 yuan in her pocket, she said nothing. The lunch, plus the chicken, cost around 100 yuan. She had made a great deal of money from this lunch, so the guests could do whatever they wanted with the ingredients. What amazed her was that young Master Xiao was doing the dishes, washing vegetables, starting a fire and doing all kinds of dirty and filthy work. All Mrs. Xiao did was stir and fry the ingredients in the pan, which wasn't a very difficult task. The lady could not help but feel jealous. Mrs. Xiao, you are so lucky to have such a diligent husband. Young Master Xiao looked quiet, but he was so willing to do all these tasks, whilst her own husband never even wanted to step into the kitchen for anything. Qiao Xian threw a look at Xiao Yunduan, who looked embarrassed, then she smiled at the lady and nodded. Xiao Yunduan threw a sneaky glance at her and pretended to be calm. But actually, he felt excited inwardly, and even felt happiness striking his heartstrings. Qiao Xian asked for clean bowls and gave some portions to the Lattice family, before the dishes were served. The Lattice family was out for work, Only she and her youngest daughter and son were at home, who were already drooling but had made no sound. They knew that it was something their guests bought, not something that belonged to their family. Qiao Xian did not like that. "Lady, try these dishes with your children." "Oh, thank you so much." The woman was surprised and happy, but also felt a little embarrassed. But seeing how her children were greedy for the dishes, she did not turn her down and accepted the dishes after saying a few polite words. When the dishes were served, both Yuezhingxiao and Xie Jingrong were startled. Yuezhingxiao looked at the dishes and then at Qiao Xian suspiciously. He was really confused. Did she really make all the dishes? Even Xie Jingrong was taken aback. He could not think of how Yuezhingxiao said that she was different from all the concubine daughters they had met till date. Concubine daughters were often those who got spoiled by the madam of the family and behaved like a dumbass. Chapter 148 Intention Otherwise, they were often those types of ladies who could not stand up because of the strike from the madam of the family and dared not say a thing. Or, they were barely seen but were cautious and dull. Second Miss seemed to be really different. Xiao Yunduan was displeased. He said calmly, "I wonder if the dishes my wife has made are catering to your tastes. We have limited ingredients in the village and I apologize for that." His wife had taken so much effort to make a table full of dishes, and they were even suspecting if they were tasty. How could a random lady make such dishes? What? Yuezhingxiao smiled. "Young Master Xiao, you have been too modest. The smell has told us that the dishes are definitely going to be tasty, let's just sit down and eat. We are starving. Please." Xiao Yunduan smiled and asked Xiao Xian to sit as well. The eel chicken nuggets wrapped in the thick soup were salty and delicious, the eel meat was tender, and the chicken nuggets were fragrant, whetting everyone's appetite the moment they were eaten. The eggplant dish was rich in garlic, and the eggplant meat was delicate. Vinegar had been added for a more unique flavor. Shredded cabbage and dried loaches also had their own characteristics. The lunch consisted of simple and ordinary dishes, but they grasped people's heart, leaving unforgettable taste in people's mind and mouth. What surprised Yuezhingxiao and Xie Jingrong was that the dishes were made of ordinary ingredients, but the way they were made had never been presented to them before, apart from the scallion egg and cabbage soup. It was a huge surprise. "Second Miss, you have cooked such great dishes, excellent." Yuezhingxiao could not help but speak highly about the lunch. Xie Jingrong was calmer than him, but he looked as if he agreed with what Yuezhingxiao had said. Qiao Xian smiled and replied calmly, "These are just ordinary dishes, not really that amazing." Qiao Xian had never been a good cook. She could make some ordinary dishes with not so outstanding tastes as before, but after she was equipped with the superpower, she seemed to be better at making dishes. She could control the fire well, and had developed a sharp culinary skill. It was a subconsciously sharp sense. Especially when it comes to vegetables. Yuezhingxiao laughed. "Second Miss, you are really modest. Food could definitely form a relationship between people." After lunch, the four people seemed to feel more relaxed among themselves, and talked a lot more. The rain had ceased, and the clouds went away. It was sunny again, casting its light all over the land. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were ready to head back soon. The four of them waved goodbye to each other. Yuezhingxiao could not help but say, "We are staying in the county for some more days, you can come visit us when you have time, so we can treat you back." Xiao Yunduan lowered his head slightly and replied politely, "The landscape is very beautiful, and there are pagodas, waterfalls to see, and we can travel by boat in the lake. We will definitely visit you, when we have time." Yuezhingxiao laughed loudly. "Sounds good. We will all go there for a trip. See you around." Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan left, as Yuezhingxiao raised his eyebrows and looked at Xie Jingrong. "It is worth the visit, isn't it? We have met such interesting people here." Xie Jingrong threw a look at him, saying nothing more. He had not expected that Yue Jingxiao had opened his mind and admired so openly, whilst he was the one who kept falling into the pit. On the way home, Xiao Yunduan looked at Qiao Xian and could not help but ask. Do you intend to establish a relationship with them? Chapter 149. Not really. He was feeling a little guilty, nervous and anxious as well. They were just a contract couple, and were not in a real relationship. She was building a road for her future, which was a normal thing, but somehow he could not stand that. Oh, you noticed that? Qiao Xian winked at him and smiled. You are so smart. Xiao Yunduan. He did not really want to be this smart. But Qiao Xian added. I think that we should be better prepared for the future. You have seen how Qiao Wei treated me yesterday, and even if I didn't want to irritate her, she would come to me for no reason. Madame Qiao adores her, and I am nothing in their eyes. They must be thinking that it is my luck when Qiao Wei can vent her anger on me. But we are lucky to have been granted this chance. Why not establish the relationship? We may not rely on this kind of relationship fully, but it is always better to have something than nothing. Maybe one day, we can ask them for help. In one word, it was never easy to make a living. She had just realized that Qiao Wei was a stupid woman, who was spoiled and had no brain. She could humiliate her whenever she wanted, but she had no way to counter her. Her words made Xiao Yunduan feel motivated. I will definitely become the recommended man next year, I will. He looked at Qiao Xian with a gaze full of profoundness. He was determined. Qiao Xian smiled and nodded. Yes, fight on. I believe that you will too. She added. Even if, there is no even if. Xiao Yunduan said seriously, I will definitely make it. If he made it, she would not have to be suppressed or scared or anxious. Qiao Xian was struck speechless. Oh, okay. I believe that you can make it too. He was so confident that she did not want to discourage him. Xiao Yunduan smiled and nodded. Yes. As the couple returned home, they repeated the matter to Miss Fong, who was very happy for them. She could not help but praise Qiao Xian once again. Now there were wonderful fields for more than 200 mu in the family. They could have endless grains for the rest of their life. Moreover, she was also happy for her son and daughter-in-law, even though those grains could not be shared. But she also stressed to them about not revealing this matter to anyone else. Miss Fong cribbed to Qiao Xian again. Soon the spring plowing was coming. Rakes needed to be made, and seedlings were required too. The matter regarding seedling was easy, but rake was not so easy to make. The problem was that not every household had bowls. There were around 100 households in Shaoding village, but only a quarter of them had bowls. Therefore, when they needed to make the rake, they would need fathers and sons, brothers and even couples to make the rake, and do the plowing through pure manual work. Or they would need to rent the bowls with money. Bowls were expensive at that time. So, ordinary families could only rent bowls for half of the work, leaving the other half for the family members to complete. Chapter 150 Helpers. The first section of the Xiao family had plenty of money. Qiao Xian suddenly thought about buying 2 bowls for home and raising them. But Miss Fong turned around and said, not buying, they can be rented for other people. What about just renting? Miss Fong had so much money in her hands, so she was speaking with confidence. She did not care if the money was spent on renting bowls for plowing. Qiao Xian complimented her mother-in-law for being so considerate. When the rake was to be made, Miss Fong offered the money and rented the bowl, so her husband and sons did not have to work so hard. They had only 7.5 mu of fields at home. The production per mu at this time was very low. The grain harvested per mu of land was just over 200 kilograms. If it was a bad year, it might be even less than 200 kilograms. The 200 kilograms was counted with shells on the rice, and only 30 kilograms of rice could be produced out of 50 kilograms crops. The whole family used to have a very tight life. With the inclusion of taros, various beans, pumpkins, winter melons, and dug-up yams in the meals, they could get through the year. When the matter of rakes was solved, everyone was very happy. Miss Sue in particular, because her husband, who was the eldest son, was always the most tired of all. This year, everything became easier. However, second uncle and third uncle came to ask the first section of the family to help them make rakes. They had no bowls either, but they had plenty of money to rent the bowls, yet they did not want to spend their own savings. Ms. Fong had argued about this earlier, but it did not work. The first section had offered them enough help through the years. But this year, Ms. Fong was really confident and acted much more fiercely. She was not going to ask Xiao Dalong to offer help. Second uncle said in a pretentious tone, "Elder sister-in-law, we should help each other, don't we always do it together? How about you finish your work this year, and then come to help us? Right?" Second uncle and third uncle were trying their best to try to convince Ms. Fong. Ms. Fong looked at them and thought to herself that these two men were strong outside but stupid inside. She should have seen through that before. Ms. Fong sneered. "Together? No, thanks, Dalong and Sanlang are terribly tired people every year. This year, we have rented a bowl, so you two families can work together and solve it yourselves." "What? Where did you get the money from?" Second uncle and third uncle exchanged a look between themselves. It must be Miss Qiao. Miss Qiao must have offered the money. So, they had a rich daughter-in-law, and now they were looking down at people. They were so jealous. Third uncle said sourly, "Oh, my brother and sister-in-law are living a better life with a rich daughter-in-law married to the family." Ms. Fong was startled, but didn't reply when they had this misunderstanding. Instead, she nodded along. The two men got increasingly annoyed. They went to elder uncle to seek family love. Eldest uncle did not dare to ask his daughter-in-law to pay for the other sections of the family, but he did not think that the spring plowing should be delayed as well. Chapter 151 Ideas: If the spring plow was postponed, the harvest by the end of the year would be ruined. That would not work. Ms. Fong did not approve of it. She kept reminding him of what Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma did to them, and eldest uncle felt quite helpless. But they already apologized. Could this matter not be done by now? The two of them argued but could not talk it through, so second uncle and third uncle had to leave first. Ms. Fong felt much better after telling Qiao Xian what happened. She sneered. "I am determined this time. I will never let them get what they want. We have given them so much over these years. It won't work if it continues in this way." Those people not only failed to thank them, but kept showing off outside the family, saying that the first section of the family were like their employees. Worse still, they even made up lies about the first section of the family. Her third son was getting married soon, and when they had so many daughter-in-laws at home, the daughter-in-laws would not be happy about the arrangement. Their dissatisfaction might lead to unhappiness in their own family, which would be such a pity. Those two sections of the family never made efforts in spring plowing, and Miss Fong was displeased to see that they had more fields than she did. Qiao Xian smiled. "Right, Mom. We should never let them get what they want this time, but we can also think of a solution to make them pay for what they ask from us." Miss Fang's eyes sparkled, and she asked, "Do you have any good ideas?" Qiao Xian had a clear knowledge of what was going on. Her mother-in-law acted toughly, but she might not have full clarity about the situation. Her father-in-law would never allow his two brothers' family to miss the spring plow. It was a major event that could not be ruined at any cost. The second section of the family had a few sons, but the third section of the family had just one son who was only focused on studies. After he started to go to school and read, he believed that he was different from the rest of the family. He was definitely not going to the fields to do labor work. Therefore, they could never make any rake or finish the plowing. It would be so troublesome if they missed the spring plow and came to the first section of the family for food, when they had nothing at home to eat. They could not just be driven out of the family, right? Qiao Xian explained all this to Ms. Fong with a smile. She said that even if they offered the help, they should not do it so easily. Ms. Fong smiled. Yes, we will do as you say. I will never make them happy. Sure enough, the second section of the family and the third section of the family came to them in the evening again. Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma were present too. They were here to make an apology. The two women were not so willing to offer an apology and were really angry and irritated since that day. They had been so intimidating in front of Ms. Fong over the years. They never thought that one day they would have to apologize to Ms. Fong. But Ms. Fong was really furious this time. She did not allow her sons to offer a hand, which made the two women very worried. For the practical help they would receive, they had to tolerate the displeasure and humiliation at the moment. Ms. Fong felt slightly happy, as she saw how these two women behaved. So she decided to put on the air of being the eldest sister-in-law of the family. Since you all know what mistakes you have made, I can forgive you somehow. But just look at what you have done outside the family. You are never thankful. It is so cruel of you. We have offered you so much help during the past few years, and you never remember how kind we are. No wonder the proverb goes that the more help you offer, the less thankful the receiver would be. Chapter 152 Empty Words. I understand now that the more help you offer, the more greedy the receiver will be. Eldest sister-in-law, anyway, I will let go of this matter this time, but you have to remember not to spread rumors outside. You have to be honest and down to earth as good human beings. And you should be grateful too. Otherwise you are worse than animals, right? Second uncle and the others were so irritated in their hearts. But they had no right to counter her. They forced a smile and nodded. Ms. Fong felt even prouder. Just think before you do anything and don't break your eldest brother's heart. You all have sons and daughter-in-laws, grandchildren and everything. Don't keep turning to your eldest brother for help whenever you have problems. Your eldest brother is getting old and he can't really be of help all the time. Second uncle and third uncle felt very humiliated when they had no excuse to counter her words. Eldest brother stiffened and was silent. Ms. Niu added. Then. Eldest brother, eldest sister-in-law, what about spring plowing? Oh yes, what about it? Ms. Ma added. What about going to the field tomorrow? Time is so pressing. Second uncle and third uncle nodded in agreement. Ms. Fong sneered inwardly. It seemed what she said in the past few minutes were all empty words. They were never going to become independent or examine themselves. They were so used to relying on their eldest brother for everything that they could not change the habit so easily. There were always people who could not change their nature, no matter how the environment changed. Ms. Fong said, "We are a family, but we still need to have an account for everything. My sons can't help you for free all the time. Instead, we can make an exchange." Second uncle and the others nodded in agreement. They agreed because the exchange would happen in the next spring plowing time. For now, everything could be agreed upon and then later left behind. Ms. Fong knew exactly what they were thinking, seeing how easily they nodded. She sneered inwardly and added. Since we need to settle it fairly, we will write it down. They were all startled. Second uncle felt very uncomfortable. We are a family. We don't need to make it so serious, right? Why not? Ms. Fong sneered. I don't want to take advantage of anyone. What if some rumor is spread again? I only trust written words. Eldest uncle could not say a word. Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma were so angry. That episode was the bargaining chip Ms. Fong could always use throughout her whole life, right? Actually, Miss Fong truly planned to do that. They were the ones who betrayed her, no? Second uncle did not want to prolong it any longer, and did not think that it was a big deal, so he said, eldest sister-in-law is right, just write it down. Miss Fong added. I won't let you suffer. Your rakes will all be made by us. Second section of the family, you have 8 mu of field, third section of the family you have 7. 6 mu of fields, right? So together with rakes, the second section of the family has 19 laborers, whilst the third section of the family will have 15, right? Any problem? Second section of the family and the third section of the family were all dumbfounded. Even eldest uncle was dumbfounded. Miss Su was startled, and she was about to say something, but could not counter her mother-in-law's authority. She was feeling so hurt inside her heart. Was her mother-in-law giving herself up out of anger? What nonsense was she talking about? Chapter 153. Your words. Her man would get so tired when he had to do all the work. Miss Su almost cried, with teeth clenched. Sister-in-law, you are sure? If you are so happy about this, we are willing to assist you too. Second section of the family and the third section of the family were very pleased. Miss Fong looked at them expressionless. Good that you have nothing against my proposal. Duan, fetch the paper and pen and write it down. Okay, Mom. Xiao Yunduan soon got the paper and pen and wrote 2 contracts according to Miss Fang's opinions. Second uncle and third uncle made a thumbprint on their names respectively. Dalong, Sanlang, get up early to do work, don't forget about the fields. The 2 sections of the family left after getting the assurance. Eldest uncle suddenly felt guilty and he sighed. What are you doing? You. Why did you agree to take all the work for yourself? My sons are going to get so tired. Miss Fong sneered. Oh, feeling sorry for your sons. I thought you would be happy. After all, they are your brothers, aren't they? Eldest uncle was struck speechless. You think that your brother and nephews would work hard? Just ask your sons, when do the fathers and the sons actually work? It is all done by our sons. Xiao Dalong laughed as Xiao Sanlang pursed his lips. That is right. Qi said voluntarily, they are even worse than me. Eldest uncle, Miss Fong threw a look at her sons and daughter-in-laws, as she put away the paper and said, don't worry, I have my own idea, just go and rest. Miss Fong also told Miss Su to tell Dalong not to go to the second section of the family's field the next morning. Miss Su felt a bit confused, but she never wanted her man to help the other sections of the family anyways, so she nodded in agreement. The next day after breakfast, Qiao Xian asked Dalong, Miss Su, and Erlang to help her work in her medical field. She was going to pay them 20 won a day as before. Miss Su was very happy when she heard that, especially since she did not have to help the second section of the family. She even felt that her shovel was lighter than before. Qiao Xian had brought the seeds of Noto ginseng and false starwort from Manager Qin, and needed to plant them down as soon as possible. She decided to allocate 2 mu for each of them. There were not many fruit trees at the moment, so they had enough fields empty for herbs. If she was able to get the right buyer, then she could buy some more fields through Manager Qin and expand the planting of medical herbs. Or she could pick some households from the village, and rent their fields for mutual planting. Qiao Xian had not forgotten about Chinese fleeceflower root. She told Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Tao Tao about it as they headed to the mountain together. Xiao Yunduan did not follow along, but asked them to be careful. It was their goal for the day when they entered the mountains. Qiao Xian used her superpower and started the search. She could see everything within a 6 kilometers range. The only shortcoming was that the road became very bumpy as they went deep into the mountains, and they were not fast enough to catch up with the superpower's speed. Qiao Xian was not in a hurry either. She was trying her best, but also needed some luck. She had looked everywhere, as far as she could. If they really failed to find it, then it meant that there was none existing. And that was what eventually happened. Chapter 154 Second and third section of the family. But they found a lot of delicious wild mushrooms, fresh bamboo shoots, and bitter bracken. Moreover, Xiaoqi also hunted 2 wild roosters. They also found a lot of wild lilies, but they just started to grow before the mature season. Hence, Qiao didn't bother to pull them out. She was going to wait until autumn. As long as she wanted, wild lilies were not troublesome to find at all. They also found a batch of wild wolfberries. She was very interested in wolfberries, so she asked the brother and sister to take some tender wolfberry seedlings back home. They broke off a bunch of older branches, cut off the leaves and branches. She planned to take them back and place them around the flower field. In the future, they would often have fresh and tender wolfberry sprouts to eat. Wolfberry sprouts were delicious in soups, stir-frying meat, scrambled eggs, salads, and steamed dishes. Also, sprouts would turn into wolfberries as well. Wolfberries could be used to make tea and soup. They also passed a waterhole, which was flowing smoothly. There was a long creek running through the mountains, and there were a lot of fish in the pools and ravines. Especially in the water pool, big fish which were longer than a foot could be seen swimming lazily in it. Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao could not help but drool over the fish which they had tasted before. But for the distance away from home, they would have taken 2 of them home. Qiao was quite motivated as well. She said to them, "Don't worry, when we are free in winters, we can ask everyone in the family to fetch the fish together. We can even make smoked fish when the days turn colder. The fish is so big that it is the best material for making smoked fish." Smoked meat would always be made in farmers' families every year, and some frugal families would eat smoked meat for half a year. Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao were very happy hearing what Qiao said. Smoked fish. That sounds amazing. I will bear this place in mind, and we can come back in winters. Qiao smiled. Then, we can hunt some more roosters and rabbits to turn them into smoked meat, but they have to be big and fleshy, otherwise there would only be a skeleton left. By that time, she could even find some wild boars and goats. Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao were even more pleased. It was getting late, so the 3 of them decided to head home. Back home, Miss Fong put the wild bracken into boiling water and blanched it over a fire, then tore it in half and soaked it in clean water. Brackens had a bitter taste and needed to stay in water overnight. But the bitterness also tasted good, like bitter melons, which was a delicious dish for people. The bitter brackens tasted even better than bitter melons. They ate up the 2 roosters and the whole family finished it all. They deep-fried the meat in the oil and it could never turn out bad. They left nothing for the 2nd section of the family and the 3rd section of the family. Miss Qiao heard some gossip from Miss Fong. Second uncle and Ms. Niu must have been thinking that everything was sorted, so they started to show the intimidating behavior yet again. They came to the door in anger. They wondered why Xiao Daolong and the others did not go over to help them with the fields. But Miss Fong drove them away coldly. "What are you in a hurry for? I will take responsibility if something goes wrong. We have drawn contracts, right? What are you afraid of?" Second uncle and Ms. Niu got really angry, but they could not do anything when they heard what Miss Fong said. Chapter 155. Here again the contract was written down and they could not deny that. Despite this assurance, they were still worried that no one would make it in time for the plowing. They got even more angry when they thought of how Xiao Daolong was helping Qiao with her useless garden. Miss Fong replied coldly, "That is something happening in our house, and of course it is more important. Also, Miss Qiao pays them 20 won a day for the work they do. Of course they were not helping for free. What did they think? Qiao had only hired Xiao Daolong for work, instead of outsiders, so second uncle and the rest could not say anything about it. Miss Fong put that out on purpose, just to annoy them. You can never imagine how they looked when they left, honestly, it was so funny. Qiao Xian could not help but smile. Serves them right. This is the consequence they have to bear for bullying you all these years. If they want to trouble you again, we will never allow it to happen. Thank you so much. Miss Fong smiled so kindly. Qiao Xian chuckled. Mom, to celebrate this, let me cook tonight. I will make many delicious dishes. Miss Fong laughed. All right, make anything you want, we have plenty of money. Oh, by the way, you don't have to buy rice or flour for the shared savings. I will ask Third to buy it from his share. Qiao Xian nodded with a smile. Okay, Mom, you are the best to me. Oh my child, you are so sweet-tongued and adorable. The fresh mushrooms were washed and thinly sliced. The breast meat of 2 roosters was taken, coated with flour and egg whites, marinated with rice wine, salt, ginger, etc., and stir-fried together. 2 eels were picked from the big water tank, chopped into pieces. Some pieces of yam were added, and simmered together with the chicken pieces. Mixed mushrooms and wolfberry sprouts were stir-fried separately. The oil pan was heated, and then the dried river prawns were put in it. The sound of swish was heard as the oil sizzled. Green and red peppers were chopped, garlic was added to the stir-fry, a little soy sauce, salt, along with half a bowl of water were also put in. The smell spread across the place, appealing to everyone's stomachs. There were still some yams left, so another plate of sugar-coated yams was made. The dishes were put on the table, and the whole family was raring to get started, feeling no longer tired. It is so fragrant. I can eat an extra bowl of rice by just smelling the food. Me too. Eldest uncle opened his mouth but did not say anything about delivering some food to his brothers' families, when he thought of how Miss Fong still held a grudge against Ms. Niu and Ms. Ma. He was very happy to see how happy his own children were. It was just that he had always paid too much attention to his brothers subconsciously. The dinner was finished earlier than usual, especially since Qiao Xian had cooked it. She did not like to cook under the oil lamp. Before the sun went down, Miss Fong and Tao Tao helped with the preparations, so when they were done with dinner, the day was still bright. In the evening, second uncle and Ms. Niu came over again for the issue regarding rakes. Miss Fong said the same thing again, that they had the contract, and there was no need to worry about the work getting postponed. She was not going to let her sons do the work. Following Qiao Xian's advice, she had decided to hire the family with bulls to finish the labor. Chapter 156. More angry. Although the price rose up to 18 yuan for 1 mu for the rake work, she was not worried about spending the money. Anyways, she was not going to tell them about it at the moment. She was going to make them anxious for a couple of more days. As for the laborers written on the paper, she was going to save them for later use. Miss Fong answered the second section so decisively that eldest uncle could not say anything about that. He turned to second uncle and responded. You can go home now, don't worry, spring plow is so important that it won't be delayed at any cost. Miss Fong understood that her husband was implicitly reminding her of this issue as well. So, she sneered. Miss Niu's eyes rolled as she smiled. You are right, eldest brother. But it is always better to be early than late, right? We are really worried about this. What about letting Dalong come to my field tomorrow, and if fifth niece-in-law has some work to do in her yard, I can ask my sons to take it over. Miss Shang and I can help too. She was thinking that they could get paid for the work, at least 20 yuan a day. The work was taking place right in front of their home, and it would be effortless to do the work and get paid. It sounded like a great plan. Miss Fong sneered. Second sister-in-law, you think you are very smart, don't you? Qiao Xian smiled. Elder brother and elder sister-in-law are doing great work and I don't want to replace them. If second brother is so free, why not go down to the field to finish the pending work himself? Second aunt-in-law, if you don't trust my mom, you don't have to wait for us. That won't work, we have a contract, you can't deny that. Ms. Niu waved her hands hesitantly. Ms. Fong threw a sarcastic look at her husband. In this case, just go home and wait. Could her husband see the truth? They would rather wait for others than go to the field to do their own work. They wanted her sons to take over the tough task. If they really treated the first section as a family, why did they keep mentioning the contract? They were waiting for her sons to do the labor work, they were even trying to steal her sons' easy jobs. Eldest uncle was suffocating under her gaze, and did not dare to meet his wife's eyes. But Ms. Niu did not want to give up. How about you hire 2 more people and get the work done as soon as possible? Qiao Xian replied. No thanks, I like the work to be done slowly. Ms. Niu glared at her. You don't want my sons to make money from you. Obviously I need to think about my own brother and sister-in-law first, right? Second aunt-in-law. Qiao Xian smiled as she countered smoothly. Xiao Yunduan, who found Ms. Niu to be talking too much, tugged at Qiao Xian. Dad, Mom, we are going to bed. With that, he left the place. Qiao Xian gave Ms. Niu a smile and left as well. Ms. Niu. What was she smiling for? Everything about her was so irritating. When second uncle and Ms. Niu left, they were only discussing the eldest sister-in-law. What is Miss Fong doing? What is she thinking? She can't be trying to trick us, right? Of course not, we have drawn a contract. Well, let's just wait and see, if she tries to fool us, we will go and sue them. Anyways, Miss Qiao has the money to compensate us. That sounds reasonable. They were so annoyed thinking how arrogant Miss Fong had become after having Qiao Xian on her side whilst they seemed to have gotten no benefits. The following day, Qiao Xian took Xiao Tao Tao and Xiao Xiaoqi to the mountains in search of Chinese fleeceflower root. The herb field in the yard was not yet sorted, so Xiao Daolong and his wife as well as Xiao Sanlang were still working in it. It would take 1 more day before they were done with it. The seedling work could begin once the water was poured in the soil, which would be finished by the evening. Chapter 157. Finally hearing that their 5th sister-in-law was also working hard to make money, the 3 of them were very devoted and careful. Xiao Daolong and Xiao Sanlang were relatively innocent-minded. What they needed was to level the field well so they could face their 5th sister-in-law truthfully, especially since she was always very nice to them. But Miss Su had her own ideas. She decided to learn how to plant the valuable herbs so she could try to do it on her own for her family, and earn some extra money for herself, which would make her very happy. Qiao Xian and her team still did not find the Chinese fleeceflower root over 500 years old. They found one that was over 100 years old, but it was not enough for her purpose. They found some mushrooms and other mountainous stuff, which they took home. It was in the middle of May, and the mushrooms were barely seen. They were usually available around autumn. High on the cliff, Qiao Xian saw lithophytic orchids, which were quite valuable, but she said nothing about them. They were at a very high and dangerous place, and she did not want Qi to take the risk. Also, she herself could not reach there either. They found 3 more Ganoderma lucidum, one of which was noticed by Xiao Tao Tao. They picked them carefully and put them away. Qiao Xian did not put them into space. She found the other 2, and with the help of her superpower, she delivered them into her space without being noticed. The space was not as greedy as before, and did not steal anything from her. Gastrodia, polygonatum and other medicinal materials were also found. But they were relatively fragmented, and the pharmacies may not accept them. Hence, they gave them up to avoid wasting time. They even saw a herd of over 20 to 30 wild goats walking by, eating grass, which made Xiao Xiaoqi drool. But the flock was very far away, and they did not have time to capture them, otherwise he would have been able to hunt and take one home. The flesh of wild goats was tender and tight. What a pity! Qiao Xian smiled. There are numerous animals in the mountains. Don't be sad, we will always run into them. But, are you capable of hunting such a large-sized wild goat? Xiao Xiaoqi smiled. Of course, I am. I am not afraid of wild boars as well. I got one wild boar last year too. But honestly, we have barely seen any wild boars in the mountains this year. Wild boars were not rare wild animals, and could be seen every now and then. Some were tough and strong, which were beyond Xiao Xiaoqi's reach. He only went out for those which were manageable. Wild boars had very thick skin. They were ferocious and angry, not very easy to capture. Qiao Xian would not tell him that there were many wild boars around, and that she had actively tried to avoid running into them. She just smiled and said, "It is good that we haven't run into wild boars, they are so scary. You need to avoid them too, in case you come across them. You don't have to hunt them down, your safety is more important." Xiao Xiaoqi felt warm in his heart, and nodded. Yes, I will be careful. The following day, they finally found 2 Chinese fleeceflower roots that were growing together. Qiao Xian could tell that one of them was more than 500 years old whilst the other was around 400 years old. Overjoyed, Qiao Xian led Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao to dig them out. The 2 Chinese fleeceflower roots were entangled with vines, so they cleared away a large side of the vines, and the land around them, before digging them out carefully. It took them over 2 hours to get the 2 Chinese fleeceflower roots out. The plants were old, but not very heavy. Both of them were around 2.5 kilograms, but did not resemble the figure of human beings. Chapter 158. Good thing she intended to give the one over 500 years old to Xie Jingro, and handed over the other one with Xiao Xiaoqi for future use. Actually, she wanted to put it in her space. A 400 years old Chinese fleeceflower root should be considered as treasure. Her space would not reject it, right? Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao followed whatever their sister-in-law said. They were so lucky that they not only found Chinese fleeceflower roots they needed, but also another good thing called Chinese Misona. Chinese Misona belonged to the family of grass, but could grow very high, sometimes as tall as an adult. The twigs were tender, and the leaves were oval-shaped, bigger than a thumb. The color was dark green, and fruits grew out of them, sweet and edible. Ripe fruits would turn black, and they grew in a cluster of more than 10. Each of them was as small as the eyes of a carp. The leaves as well as the ripe fruits would give off a fresh grassy smell when bitten in the mouth. The leaves of Chinese Misona were first mashed, then wrapped with cotton gauze, rubbed with water in a pot, and the juice obtained was filtered and left for a while. A natural pure green jelly could be made in this way. When the jelly was served in the bowl, with some honey as well as mint water, it would become a really good snack for hot summer. If they could find saltpeter and make ice out of it, then the snack would taste much better, by adding some chopped ice in the jelly. When she had enough people working for her, she would open a dessert store. Qiao Xian chopped a large bunch and decided to plant some Chinese Misona in her flower field. She could even make jelly as a snack whenever she had time. She thought of another thing that could be used to make jelly, namely the creeping figure. The creeping fig was a far better option to make jelly than Chinese Misona. When ripe creeping figs were dried, the small seeds inside could be collected and grounded for making jelly. It was much easier to make and store that. But the creeping figs would only ripen in August and September. At this time of the year, the creeping figs were just beginning to bloom. The creeping figs were growing wildly and broadly, and could be found easily. She would focus on this business in a couple of days and bring them home too. That was a plant that could survive easily, as long as their vines were well planted. Satisfied, Qiao Xian asked her siblings-in-law to get ready to go home. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao were both very motivated when they heard that the Chinese Misona could be used to make something tasty. They put the cut branches on their backs directly. Xiao Yunduan could not help but admire his wife's good luck. She had really found what they needed. Darling, we will deliver it to the town tomorrow. I believe that young Master Qiao wouldn't have left yet. We can give it to him face to face. Xiao Yunduan nodded with a smile. Sure. He was going to keep her company on their trip to town, especially when she was meeting those two men. Ms. Fong did not know the details, but seeing that they had found what they wanted, she was very happy for them. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian were unaware that the day they ran into Xia Jingrong and Yue Xiao, they also ran into strategist Lu, who was working for County Magistrate Qiao. Strategist Lu greeted the two of them politely and even mentioned that he was trying to help them to find Chinese fleece flower root over 500 years. Xia Jingrong had not wanted to bother County Magistrate Qiao, so he had never mentioned this to him, but County Magistrate Qiao got to know about it for some reason. Chapter 159. Tricky Xia Jingrong, who had been thinking that one more helper might work better, expressed his gratitude politely but refused his help. He stressed repeatedly. Please tell Officer Qiao that it is my private affair, and it is a big taboo to use public forces to deal with private matters. It is not good to hire so many people, otherwise I will feel really guilty about it. Those senior people in the family would blame me for it too. Strategist Lu was startled as he smiled and nodded. You are right, absolutely right. Young Master Xia, don't worry, I will never deal with private things using public forces, never. Strategist Lu informed County Magistrate Qiao about it, and the magistrate had to drop the idea of getting the staff to search for the plant or putting up the poster of offering prizes to those who found it. But he was not going to drop the idea of sucking up to the Xia family. So, he dispatched a few servants and several trustworthy policemen to seek the same in the mountains. Then, he gave strategist Lu some money to look around the mountains with some reliable villagers. He even stressed that the young Master Xia did not want this known to others, so everyone who was looking for the Chinese fleece flower root should stay low-profiled rather than shout around, otherwise they would be punished. Officer Qiao said to Madame Qiao happily, there are so many mountains in the county. I believe that with so many people going into the mountains, they will definitely find one Chinese fleece flower root over 500 years old. If we find it, County Magistrate Qiao started to dream as his eyes sparkled. I heard that young Master Xia is planning to give the plant to Madame Xia, which should be a huge favor they would owe us. The Xia family and the court in the capital were very related to each other. The Xia family had enormous contacts in the capital, and Xia Jingrong's grandfather was a lord who was in grace. It would be easy for him to get a position in the capital, when he did this favor for that man. Madame Qiao got excited as well. She crossed her fingers and said, Please, Buddha, please give us the blessing. If it happens, all will work out so well. Madame Qiao's eyes rolled as she smiled. 500 years or 400 years, or less, the year is not fixed. It is just a Chinese fleece flower root that is old enough. As long as we can find one that is over 100 years old or just 50 years old, the Xia family would owe us a big favor anyway. That was such a treacherous thing to say. It basically meant that no matter whether the thing found was right or not, since they made some effort, they should receive some favor. Officer Qiao's eyes sparkled. He laughed. That is a good idea. After all, he was really willing to help young master, but it was never easy to find a Chinese fleece flower root over 500 years old. If he managed to find one less than 500 years old, it could still be handy for young Master Xia. It was the effort he was exerting. Young Master Xia was talented. He was young and could not stand being embarrassed. If they exchanged a few amiable words after this, the Xia family would definitely have to owe them a favor, no matter what. Chapter 160. Favored Madam. Whenever it was festival time, they could just give some presents to the Xia family, and that was how they would be able to actually shorten the distance between them two. The bigger Officer Qiao dreamed, the more he liked his wife. You are such a smart helper. Madame Qiao smiled proudly. We are one family and are bound together. Your honor will be my honor, so I have to pay attention to your affairs. You are so good, ah. Officer Qiao laughed loudly. Early in the morning, Qiao Xian spread the seeds of some plants with Ms. Su and Xiao Taotao, before heading to the town with Xiao Yunduan. In order to show enough importance to the matter, Qiao Xian found an appropriate-sized box from her useless dowry and put the 500-years-old Chinese fleeceflower root inside it. Yuezhing Xiao had told them about their lodge when they bid farewell to each other the last time, so Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian headed directly to the hotel once they reached the town. Yuezhing Xiao and Xie Jingrong had been resting at the hotel due to the strenuous mountain climbing a couple of days ago. Hearing about their visit, Yuezhing Xiao smiled and asked his servant to invite the couple in. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian were here to deliver the Chinese fleeceflower root. Xie Jingrong was overjoyed and also surprised. He thanked them again and again after seeing the large-sized, fresh-smelling plant, and headed to Mingrentang along with them for Manager Qin to identify the age of the plant. Manager Qin was dumbfounded as well. He had never expected that they really could find the Chinese fleeceflower root. He had dispatched many people from the pharmacy, and entrusted experienced hunters and farmers to go into the mountains, yet everyone failed to find anything. These two were just. They were just so lucky. Manager Qin exclaimed in joy when he saw the size. I have seen many Chinese fleeceflower roots, this size should definitely be over 300 years old. Xie Jingrong looked very happy. 300 years old would be okay, if 500 years old one could not be found. Qiao Xian smiled and said calmly, Manager Qin, look carefully again. Okay. Manager Qin nodded and started to observe the roots and stems carefully, trying to distinguish every single detail. They had no other devices to test the age, and the manager had to discern it with only his eyes. Over the years, he had become very good at distinguishing the plant's age. 15 minutes later, Manager Qin nodded with a flushed face. Alright, this Chinese fleeceflower root is definitely over 500 years old, no doubt. Really? Let me take a look at it. Yuezhing Xiao and Xie Jingrong spoke up simultaneously. One of them thanked Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian out of politeness, whilst the other looked at the Chinese fleeceflower root curiously, as if hoping that it would bloom. That was a Chinese fleeceflower root over 500 years old. It was such a rare thing. The entire group was happy after they left Mingrentang. Xie Jingrong invited the couple to have a drink at the tea house, whilst his servant had run back to the hotel to fetch the gift. Soon the servant came over. Xie Jingrong opened the brocade box, and there was a jade lying in an apricorn-colored brocade. It looked so white and pure, showcasing some bright circles around it. It was definitely not cheap. Xie Jingrong smiled. Thank you so much, young Master Xiao and Mrs. Xiao. If you ever need my help, please bring this jade to the Xia family, and I will do all I can to give you a hand. Chapter 161. Qiao Xian's used the Xia family was going to use the Chinese fleeceflower root to put in the medicine for Madame Xia. Money was never going to be enough to pay back this favor. That was why Xie Jingrong offered something else. He could tell that the couple did not lack money, or at least, they were not worried about wealth. Xiao Yunduan was the cultivated talent and he was going to participate in the examination next year, maybe he could go further than that. At that time, he probably would need the Xia family's help. The Xia family would be willing to give him a hand, as long as it was legal. That was why he gave them the jade, which was precisely what Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian needed more than anything else. If it had been a hunter who delivered the Chinese fleeceflower root, he would have offered him the money. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian were glad. The Xia family was a noble family and young Master Xia knew exactly what they needed. Thanks. Xiao Yunduan accepted the gift generously. He did not need it, but Qiao Xian definitely wanted it. If Officer Qiao and the whole family were to treat her badly in the future, Xiao Yunduan would definitely make use of this jade. Officer Qiao was a clever man, and he would never expect that a concubine's daughter could ever make the Xia family help her. Xia Jingrong exchanged a few polite words and developed some good feelings towards Xiao Yunduan. He really liked people such as him, who were sharp and direct. Yuezhing Xiao smiled. Now that the goal is achieved, we are relieved. I will treat you both for lunch today. Xia Jingrong nodded alongside. Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian did not turn them down. Qiao Xian had the intention of befriending them, whilst Xiao Yunduan had no intention of cutting off the relationship, so the couple accepted the invite graciously. The four of them ate lunch at restaurant Yanhe before Xiao Yunduan and Qiao Xian left. During lunchtime, Qiao Xian reached an agreement with Yuezhing Xiao, telling him to wait for a little longer, since she had a commodity to show him. She wondered if he was interested. Yuezhing Xiao was very interested and accepted the proposal directly. When they went home, Xiao Yunduan gave the brocade box to Qiao Xian. You can keep it. Qiao Xian smiled. Really, for me? I think that you need it more than I do. I trust that you can become a recommended man. What if you get bullied? You can keep the jade. This can ensure that everything goes fairly in the future. Xiao Yunduan felt his heart become warm. He smiled gently. No one would dare to do anything about the village examination, and I barely go out or have any conflict with anyone. You keep it, so you don't have to be at the mercy of Madame Qiao and her daughter. Qiao Xian accepted the brocade box after hearing that. Okay, I will keep it, and we will use it when needed. Xiao Yunduan felt really comfortable when he heard her saying we. He nodded with a smile. Okay. Qiao Xian smiled. I will stop here. I need to do some work. You should get back to your studies. I am going to make the commodity and show it to young Master Yuezhing. If he likes it, we will have another way of making money. The more money they had, the wider the road would be, and the stronger they would become as well. In this way, she would be able to get rid of the Qiao family permanently. Also, she was going to live more happily as well. You're tuning into the Path of the True Immortal YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.